Hello there, lovely people! Welcome to the stream. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here. I didn't even finish my silly opening catchphrase. Yes, hello! This is a little Q&A. By the way, do let me know if the music is a little loud, a little quiet. I'm trying out something new. I ran out of time. Also, got the direct on in the background, so you're not just staring at my face constantly. You got something more interesting to see as well. So yes, welcome along. I'm going to answer any and all your questions you have about the Switch 2, and probably a few that aren't about the Switch 2, because those sorts of things are just gonna crop up. Has the music stopped already? I think it has. Why won't you just play? Why won't you just play? We may be having some fun with this, but we'll do our best, won't we? That's a terrible setting I've just enabled. We'll just go with that. See what happens. So, hello. I'm going to take the first question. I'm going to see what's this. Send Felix my love. I will do just that. He may be watching the stream right now. I don't know. Kind of like Subway Surfer video on the side. A little bit like that, but I like to think it's a little classier, you know? It is Mr. Nintendo Life himself, yeah. What's for dinner? So let's start off with a real Nintendo Switch 2. Have I played the Switch 2? Yes, I have. That's why I'm answering these questions. How does the new screen look? Did you notice any backlight bleeding? Good question. I did actually check this very specifically because obviously it being an LCD, you know, it's not going to be as dark as the OLED, or at least not have as high a contrast ratio, and that is absolutely still the case. Having said that, it looks really, really good regardless. Don't ask me why. I don't make screens, but obviously LCD has come a hell of a long way in the years since the Switch 1, as much as anything, the launch one anyway, and it still looks fantastic. The HDR helps a lot, I think, as well. I can't really compare it to anything directly, unfortunately, but I will say I did actually take my OLED along as well to do a comparison between Tears of the Kingdom, just because I had it downloaded, and Tears of the Kingdom on the OLED. It's a bit higher contrast, but a bit. It's honestly really surprising, but when it is like a complete black screen, you look at it, and if you know what you're looking for, you can tell it's an LCD. I didn't see any light bleed, though, from the backlight. It does appear to be properly diffused, but, you know, take it just from the eyes of someone who hasn't sat down and looked at it for a great big long amount of time, because I did only get to use the system for about 4 hours, and even I say use the system, I didn't sit down with the console for 4 hours. I was jumping between different stations and things like that. I've just seen a super chat come through. Thank you very much. Yeah, I had about 4 hours jumping between different stations. I didn't get to play all the games I wanted to, in fact. I really was stretched for time, but I'm pleased I managed to play what I did. Is the screen glass or plastic? That's a very good point. I can't say... I'm not going to say either way, I'm afraid, because I didn't... Most of the units that I used were demo units, and whilst I did get a chance to hold a retail unit as well, I didn't check. I've got to be honest, I didn't check, so I'm sorry I can't answer that. If I were to make an educated guess based on what I've seen, I would say it's probably plastic, but that is no more than a guess, so do not take it as any more than that. Let's have a quick look at that super chat from Tomo Duff. Thank you very much. Hey mate, is it a fair comparison between Switch 2 and PS4, or is it so much better in person, Xbox Series S? It's difficult to say, because most of the games that I played were obviously Nintendo first parties. And the only one that I didn't, and I actually spent some real time with, was Cyberpunk 2077. That is still in development, and it has to be said, I haven't played that game on PS4 or PS4 Pro, or indeed Xbox. Technically I have played it on Series X, but a long time ago. So I can't realistically give you a good comparison. There are a lot of different thoughts bandying around using Cyberpunk. I myself in a video said that it appears to be approaching, if not maybe going a little bit beyond PS4 Pro, but it is difficult to pin these things down, so don't take that as read. Also, Nintendo Nintendo will get more out of Switch 2 than third parties will ever get out of PS4, maybe even PS4 Pro, just because they know it inside and out. And this system isn't working because it. I just have to. Am I going to do it manually? It's not working. Full stop. Good. Okay. No music in the background, I'm afraid. I'll disable that so that it doesn't get confusing. Sorry about that, guys. I tell you what I can do, though. I can bring in... Let's see. Media source. I should have an existing. It's going to be loud. Whoa! There we go. We can at least have the smooth trophy room music. At the very least, that's something. How worried are you about drift? A good question. A good question, Married Man Gaming. I am not hugely worried about drift at the moment because I think Nintendo knows what they did wrong with the Joy-Con specifically. Obviously, there were still drift issues with the Pro controller. They were significantly mitigated, more like a standard controller. I've had less drift on my Switch Pro controller than I have, for example, like my PlayStation 4 controller. In fact, mine's okay. But Sasha, my partner, my wife even, she has a PS4 controller as well, DualShock 4, and that started drifting like nobody's business. And I would say that she's probably used that for a couple of 100 hours maximum. I don't know. She should be watching this stream, so feel free to chime in. Although there's a lot of comments coming in, so I may not be able to answer that. I'm not too worried at the moment about drift, just because I think Nintendo have learnt their lesson. I hope they've learned their lesson. And the sticks... I've got a lot to say about the sticks, and it's all positive. I'm going to save most of it for an upcoming video that I am working on, or I will be working on. I haven't started it yet, but I will do. The sticks feel great. Like, really good, really premium. Really smooth, like the outside. It's a silly little thing, and they did mention this. I think in an interview... we asked about the sticks and they said, it's really smooth. It's really smooth around the outside. And it's like, what? What are you talking about? It's true. It's true. It's almost like the inside has been polished. It's bizarre. But it's really, really good. It's a little uncanny, but as soon as you start noticing, you start getting used to it. It's delightful. From Nog! Another Trekkie. Excellent. Hello. Thank you for the super chat. You've just disappeared. Thank you, YouTube. Your system is flawed. Does the large size still feel comfortably portable? That is a good question. A good question indeed. Is it comfortably portable? It's not going to fit in your pocket. That's, you should probably assume that. The same as the original Switch. Won't just fit in your pocket. It will go in a bag, though. Very, very easily. In fact, I've got a bag down here that I'm hoping it'll fit in. Where is it? Oh, it's down there. I'm very proud of this bag. I got it in Japan. I say I'm proud of this bag. I'm proud of myself for picking it up, because I usually don't treat myself, but I got this Splatoon bag from Japan. And that's delightful. And it'll fit in there no problem. So I would say I would put its portability on par with the Steam Deck, but it is a lot thinner. It is also really comfy in the hands. Really comfy in the hands. Whoa! Does Switch 2 have themes? Thank you for the super chat. Come back, show me. B.J. Robinson. Be careful how you say that live on YouTube. Does it have themes? I don't know. We weren't shown any of the UI, unfortunately. It was just basically the games are in demo mode. Maybe in some sort of kiosk mode. I didn't try pressing the home button personally, but I know that my colleagues did. Alana and Xeon, they tried pressing the home button. Nothing happens! And I'm fairly certain I saw a rep pressing it to try and reset the demo with a button combination. But nothing happened. When they press the home button, I hasten to point out. Bino Shadow, thank you for the super chat. I'm not just going to answer super chat questions, I hasten to point out, so don't feel you have to. Are the face buttons as clicky on Switch 1? This is a good question as well. I would say that there is marginally more travel on the buttons. Marginally. I mean, we're talking, fractions of a millimeter. But you can feel it if you're looking out for it. I would say that they are not as clicky. They're a little bit softer. Just a little bit, though. it's difficult to try and think of a comparison. They're definitely not as soft as a Pro Controller, for example. Maybe they are. Pro Controller isn't as... Hang on, I'm going to have to get a Joy-Con. Ah! Let's see. Let's answer this question. Yeah, I would say they're not as clicky. They're not as clicky as a Joy-Con, Switch 1 Joy-Con. But yeah. Of course, now pressing a load of buttons, it's muddied the memory in my mind. But I would say that, yeah, they are definitely less clicky. They feel like they're softer. And lighter, I would say is a good descriptor. They're also bigger, and that makes a big difference. Absolutely. Whoa, let's go down. Were games less grainy in handheld? Oh, God, yeah. That bigger screen, 1080p as well, it is really sharp. Like, I am a big, supporter of the idea that portable screens, certainly for games consoles, don't need to be ludicrously high resolutions. And yet Nintendo have gone beyond what I think is necessary, so it looks really, really good. Really, really good. This is awesome. Thank you, Spark. Let's have a quick look. Oh, my word. It is... Let's have a quick look just to make sure. Aha! I did miss one. I do apologize, Excel. I will... No. I don't want to be right-clicking on it. Just let me scroll. Wow. This system is not designed for this. I'll tell you what, I'll do it over here. Because it's actually designed for desktop. So Excel, thank you very much for the super chat. Did you get a chance to test out the gyro motion controls in DK Bonanza? Did you notice any improvements? I did manage to try out the... just see. Somebody, thank you very much for the 200 yen. Why can't Switch 2 crawl? Very funny. Genuinely quite funny. Did I get to test out the motion controls in Bonanza? I did get to try out the motion controls in Bonanza, and also in other things as well. I would say that it feels, I've got to be honest, basically the same. It felt... the thing is that obviously I couldn't change a load of settings, and I like my cheese drip... No, I'm not even fully sure where that comes from. I know it's got something to do with a terrible man. But the gyro feels roughly the same, I would say. And I like it to be very sensitive. So I like to be able to do smaller movements. I've got, I like to think, good fine motor control, so I don't need to move as much. You know, I can get away with smaller movements. So it's sort of like, and it was very sort of like weak in the settings. So Bonanza, for example, it was using a Pro Controller and it was tethered as well, which obviously makes it heavier. And so like that, you wouldn't be able to do like a full screen one side to the other, I would say. But that is, no doubt that is a setting. It feels basically the same, I must admit. I used it mostly in Metroid Prime 4, and there it felt very similar, if not the same. It is tricky to judge, though. I can't lie, because again, I was so trying to cram so much in. But I would say that I believe it's roughly the same. It would be nice. I mean, that's not entirely true. That's not entirely true, because it felt smoother in the sense that it was, and I found this in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom as well. I've just remembered I did it there as well, without even thinking. It's, but I think that it's more due to, rather than the polling rate increasing, which is how quickly it determines, you know, how often it determines where am I moving, you know, and all that. Kind of think of it as like the resolution, like dots per inch on a mouse, if that makes any sense. If I said polling rate, you'd know that anyway. But anyway, I would say because the image is refreshed more quickly, so more frames per second, it feels a lot snappier. And I don't know if DK was running at 120 frames a second or what. I don't think it was. I'm fairly certain it was 60, but, you know, I didn't record at 120 frames a second because I did get some footage. As much as anything, I wanted to make sure for myself that Metroid Prime was running at 120, and oh lordy, is it. Which is very, very tasty indeed. But I would say that that makes it actually feel really more responsive, nice and snappy. So I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry I can't give you more details, but again, my time was limited. I'm doing my absolute best to leave me alone. Anyway, can you... However, has said, did you get to try out a backwards compatible game? I didn't. Unfortunately, it was only Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom was the closest thing, but that's obviously a specific version. Look, a backwards compatible game. Jay Dowling, thank you, and thank you, however, as well. Can I attach the Joy-Cons to the fridge? If you got Blue Tack, you can do anything. Thank you for the super chat. Algay, how is the screen compared to the Switch OLED? Surprisingly similar, but the contrast ratio isn't as great. If you want to scrub back in the stream, I did go into substantially more detail. I think it was one of the first questions I answered. There'll be plenty more detail for you there. Thank you for the super chat. Do you honestly think a new Mario Odyssey 3D Mario game will come out soon after it? Applejuice. Presumably that is in regards to DK. That's more of a speculative answer. I'm more than happy to answer it, but I really don't know, to be honest. I think they're banking on DK, and I think they're, at a guess, I would say that they're using DK kind of to give people that sort of that Mario hit that they're looking for. They really, people want Mario. They want Mario now. And they're trying to use DK to do that, to push DK forward. And I think it's going to win. So I don't imagine there's going to be a new 3D Mario game until 2026. But I also didn't think that Nintendo were going to do a direct less than a week before the Switch 2 one. So let's not make any assumptions here. It is Nintendo after all. A quick water break. Who felt better to control? This is Sneakers O'Toole, sorry. Who felt better to control? Mario from Odyssey or DK from Bonanza? That's a really good question, actually, and something that I would like to tackle. We are planning on doing a video about a DK Bonanza, so keep an eye out for that one. But for now, I will just say that was definitely something that came across in my mind. Mario feels more agile. DK feels a lot heavier, but in a good way. He feels like kind of like an unstoppable force. He feels like he's not as quick, he's not as nippy and agile, but he just sort of feels like he's gonna make his own path through things, you know? He felt heavy, but responsive, and ripping out a rock from the ground, jumping on it and skateboarding around. That felt incredible. And what I really liked, actually, I don't know whether they showed this in the treehouse or what, but when you do that, the rock that you're on, or slab, or whatever it is, slowly starts to deteriorate. So you can't do it forever. And I imagine, I don't know this, I imagine this will also be related to the density of certain materials. Because depending on what you're trying to grab, there's, like, if it's ground, it's really quick. You just whip it out because it's low density. It's not hard. Hardness density, I don't know what they use in game, I can't remember. So I imagine that would deteriorate more quickly, but if there's something harder, it takes longer to rip out. It also takes more hits to break, and I imagine that will last longer on that skateboardy goodness. It's more of a surfboard, but still. Good question, yeah. Have you played Nintendo Switch 1 games on the new system? Only Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, and they are specific versions, so I don't count that. Is HD Rumble as good as DualSense on PS5 now? I've got to be honest, I didn't really notice the HD Rumble, which is not necessarily a knock against the Rumble itself. But I don't tend to notice Rumble that often, just personally. I don't know why. I could not tell you why. Maybe it's just how I've grown up playing games and stuff like that. I don't tend to notice it, and I didn't get to do the welcome tour because I had other priorities like Cyberpunk. So I didn't really get to sort of pay it as much attention as it kind of deserves. So I don't really feel comfortable explaining that. Also, I'm unfamiliar with PS5. I don't have one because, well, maybe I should have bought one because they just put the blinking price up again, haven't they? But still. How's the little Joy-Con connector? Is it as flimsy as we feared? I didn't sort of test it because as much as anything, I didn't really feel a need to. I did get my hands on a unit, like a retail unit, that it wasn't powered on, sadly, but where you could use it, like take the Joy-Con off and stuff like that. And I did take the Joy-Con off, and I had a look and everything. It's not. If this is the edge of the Switch, the connector's actually, if this is the Switch side and this is the open air side, the connector isn't flush like that. It's not right at the edge. It's recessed like that. So there's actually a gap between the edge of the Switch console and the connector. So you're never going to break it off by accident. And the way that the Joy-Con slots in a similar way to, I suppose like a UK plug in some ways, it finds its own way in. You can't, in the same way that you can't like put an earth pin in a UK plug, you can't just snap that off really easily. Because by the time it's in and it's found its area, it's being supported by what it's in. It's a mechanical thing, and I think it works very well. I don't think it's going to be a problem. I genuinely don't. If you leave it out and you want to like specifically, if you specifically try to damage it, yeah, it's probably going to break. But that's because you're specifically trying to damage it. I doubt it's going to happen much by accident, because the Joy-Con wants to find its way in a very particular way, and it does so very easily. It just goes on. It's lovely. Did you find mouse mode comfortable? Calgi MT. Ooh, an interesting question. Yes and no. Yes and no. I didn't find it as bad as some people. I didn't actually have any wrist issues, which is... no jokes. Which is a common thing for me, or at least it was. I used to use an Apple Magic Mouse for my sins as my main work, sort of mouse. I don't anymore. I've got a big boy mouse. I really like the functionality of the Magic Mouse. I'm not going to lie, I like the touch stuff. But I've got reasonably large hands, and I was getting severe wrist issues. I wasn't feeling any of the sort of typical warning signs that I did when I was using mouse mode on Switch 2. And I did Drag X Drive, so having said that, I would still like there to be some sort of grip or something like that just widens things out a bit. That would make it a lot more comfortable, and no doubt they are coming. Third party or first, most likely third. Oh. Charizard, thank you for the super chat. How sturdy was the kickstand? Aha! This is a good question. I wanted to address this. How loose were the Joy-Con compared to the original Switch, and largely did Switch 1 cartridges fit well in the game slot? Last one, Switch 1 cartridges, I couldn't say. I wasn't allowed to do that. I only had access to one retail unit, and it was powered off, and there were people looming over me, and wasn't allowed to do things I wasn't allowed to do. However, how sturdy was the kickstand? Very sturdy, actually. Really quite robust. I tried this out mostly with when I was doing Tears of the Kingdom of all things. I think I was just fiddling around with it. I've seen some reports say it's plastic. Whilst I haven't taken a sample off and sent it to the lab, I can be pretty confident and say it's metal. Simply due to there's a test, isn't there? There you go. We've got two examples here. You got something plastic or metal. You put a finger against it and you can feel it. Feel how cold it feels. Do it with metal. Feels colder. It's not actually colder. It's drawing the heat away from your finger more effectively because it's a conductor, or a good conductor at least. There are very few insulators in this world, all things considered. So yeah, the kickstand is really rigid. There is more flex, I would say, than the OLED, just simply because it's more like a strip. But I think it's going to be perfectly good. Really, really good, actually. And very quickly, how loose were the Joy-Con compared to the original Switch? Way, way sturdier. Almost no comparison. I'm going through this water like a thirsty boy. It was really, really sturdy. The Joy-Con were in there, and it almost felt like just one unit. The only time I was able to get any sort of wiggle or movement or anything like that was when I was using, or had my hands on the retail unit, and I very cheekily sort of did a, can I pull the Joy-Con off? And I got bit of movement. I had to put quite a bit of pressure on there. Obviously, I wasn't going to say, here, hold this to my colleague and yank it out or anything like that, because it's not mine to yank. But it was very solidly in there. And when you're holding it and using it, and I had this a couple of times when playing handheld, it basically feels like one piece. It's really solid, really solid. Huge, huge upgrade. Good lord, I'm gonna do a non super chat one just because I don't want to do only super chat. Did you try out the Pro Controller and how does it feel? Phantom, thank you for the question. I did try out the Pro Controller quite extensively, and in a lot of ways it feels a lot like a Switch 1 Pro Controller. The only thing that I would say is that the grips at the back feel slightly narrower, and I don't know why. I couldn't tell you if it was narrower. Maybe the depth in that direction, that way, is a little bit deeper, maybe. Maybe it's a slight change in the angle. But it didn't feel as... It didn't feel as big in the hand, but it also didn't feel noticeably smaller. Good lord. It's been a while since I've done a stream. I'm not used to talking for this long without my own chance to take a short break. Maybe I'll bring the volume down just a little bit. Save my voice. It feels very similar to a standard Switch 1 Pro controller. I like it a lot. And the big thing is the sticks. The sticks feel really smooth. The buttons feel largely the same. It's not a huge upgrade, to say the least, and I would say that if you have a Switch 1 Pro controller, if you're not going to use the headphone jack, I wouldn't bother getting an upgrade just yet. I say just yet, it's not out yet, of course. But wait until there's more information out there from people who've been able to give it a longer test run, whether it's, easier on the wrists and stuff like that. Now, we've got some super chats to go through. Good lord, you guys are so generous. Thank you so much. Did you use the GameCube controller for the NSO app? If so, how did it feel compared to the original? I'm so sorry I didn't. I did not get a chance to use it. I've spoken to colleagues that say it just feels exactly the same. But with respect to my colleagues, GameCube controllers vary slightly depending on whether you're getting a later one that came with like the Smash Smash Ultimate Pro controller feels marginally different to like an original one. It's mainly the face buttons is the main difference. I think it's something to do with the membrane, but I don't know that for certain. But that is it. As far as I know, the shell is essentially identical, but I haven't used it, so I can't say for certain. I do apologize for that. But thank you for the super chat. Spirit, thank you very much. Do you think it will outsell most of... Let's start that again with a sip of water. Ugh. Do you think it will outsell the amount of units as the Switch? I'm sure that first and third party titles will be amazing in the next 5 years, but I'm afraid people will lose interest in the next 10 years. I don't know whether it will outsell. I do have my suspicions. I mean, I think it's going to do well. I think it's easily going to do well. It's a great system. I think as soon as people, people see the games that are coming to it and not coming to Switch 1, the broad audience, they're going to go, whoa, Nelly, I'm going to need me one of those. There'll be plenty of people that won't buy it straight away, and they may well say some people may say that they're not getting it full stop. I think there will be, at one point, for everyone who's saying that within reason, I say everyone, a lot of those people, there will come a game where they just go, oh, god damn it, okay, I'll get it then, and they'll buy it for that one game, and then you buy the rest of the library, and it's all great. I don't know if it's going to sell as well as the original Switch, though. I think, if anything, it will sell a little worse, just simply due to the fact that it's a sequel, and that's always more difficult to follow. Do Switch 2 have analog triggers on either the new Joy-Con or Pro Controller? They do not. They are pure digital, but they do feel nice. They're nice action to them. The Joy-Con especially. I am jumping back on the Pro Controller message, the question. I think the Joy-Con, I'm going to make it almost negligible whether you need a Pro Controller. We'll see. Is the Switch 2 Pro Controller worth it? I'm 50-50. I think I've already answered that. But I will just say, for the time being, I'd hold off. If you've got a Switch 1 Pro controller, just use that. They are compatible. And wait and see. Wait and see. Don't pre-order it. Don't pre-order anything like that just yet. Were the bezels distracting? No. I'm not the biggest, like, I'm not hugely sensitive to bezels and stuff like that. I play a Steam Deck. Yeah. I wouldn't say so, no. I thought they were fine, all things considered. Depends how sensitive you are to that sort of thing. I think a lot of what appears to be bezel is the gap for the Joy-Con to go in, the connector part. Charizard, thank you for the follow-up. You hate Joy-Con wiggle too, yeah. It's annoying. Okay, let's, do you think this... oh, no, it's gone. Oh, no. Oh, sorry, I missed the one. There it is. Do you think the Switch's best games, AAA clock and calculator, will get paid upgrades? Watch this space. You never know. Does the touchscreen work with your tongue? All touchscreens work with your tongue. If it's capacitive, it works in the same way as a finger. If it's resistive, it also works in the same way as a finger. Moving on. Is it? Oh, good lord. Oh, it's because I'm zoomed in so I can read it. Maybe. Does Donkey Kong look like it'll be largely underground based, or will there be sufficient amount of above ground jungle adventure similar to 64? Also, has it been confirmed to be a sandbox? That was Diego Vasquez. Apologies for the pronunciation if it was bad. I believe, just simply due to what I played in the narrative and everything, it takes place all underground, but in a thematically overground insert in a lot of areas. But it's kind of like, if you've played Trial of the Sword, I would say is a reasonable example in Breath of the Wild. A little bit like that. You're underground, but it's like open air and there's all this sort of stuff, and ignore the walls as far from what I've seen. So it feels like almost like islands, I would say, but it is thematically underground, but visually and style-wise, above ground. Haven't seen any jungles yet. I only got to play the intro and the area that looks a lot like the Sky Islands in Breath of the Tears of the Kingdom. But yes, that is my answer to that question. Did you play Fortnite? Does it run better than PS4? And does Fortnite have mouse mode, or is it just Cyberpunk and Metroid so far that have FPS mouse? They did not have Fortnite there, I'm afraid, so I haven't played it. I can't say one way or the other. Sorry about that. But I would be... Let me broadly jump on and say... Excuse me. I would be surprised if games that couldn't benefit from mouse mode didn't get it. That's down to the third parties themselves, or, you know, Nintendo if it's a first-party game. If they don't do that, I think they're missing out and they are fools. So I imagine if there's enough of a stink about it, if they don't include it, they will include it. Fortnite included motion controls as well, so, you know, eventually. And they did it the wrong way, didn't they? The axis was wrong. That was funny. Thank you for that. Attack the Backlog. Hey man, hope you're well. Would you say that Cyberpunk 2077 looks closer to the PS4 or Xbox Series S version? I haven't played it on either, so I can't say one way or the other. I've only seen footage, which is always compressed, for the PS4 Pro and PS4 versions. It's interesting. When I was playing Cyberpunk, there were some things... how do I nail this down? It was tricky because my gut reaction is to say performance was unreliable, which isn't, I wouldn't say false, but isn't giving the full picture. I was playing in an area that is probably the hardest to run in the game as far as I'm aware. I've been playing it a lot recently on a different device, and it was Dogtown, which is the DLC, one of the DLC area. And I do apologize. I'm not used to this. It definitely ran into some issues, but it seemed to be inconsistent enough that, I mean, obviously it's not the final build by any means. It is not the final build. It was 7 weeks old when I played it. Probably a little older, in fact, because it's the same build that was at New York as well. And God, you must excuse me. I'm so sorry. I don't know why. My throat's gone really dry. Ugh. I can't say one way or the other. If you were to look at it and you're stationary, it looks and runs great. I didn't get to play it in handheld. Apparently it's better in handheld, which will be interesting. Because performance mode is 720p on handheld. I can't answer that question easily, I would say. I don't feel confident answering that question. I do have confidence that it's going to be better when it comes out. Strong confidence. But I can't say one way or the other, unfortunately. I just don't have that information at hand, which is a real shame. But suffice it to say that if it were to launch in the state that it's in, that I played it, it would be disappointing. But we've got time until launch. I'm certain, sort of they would have had over, what was it? By the time it comes out, that will be a 4-month-old build. So I'm sure they'll sort it out. Well, I'm very much hopeful that they'll sort it out. Let's put it that way. I don't think they'd be targeting 1080p and 40 frames a second if they didn't think they could get there. So I'm confident that they'll manage it. Did you get a chance to check out Game Chat? No, I didn't. It just wasn't available there. Yeah, sorry. They just didn't have it there. They had Mario Party Jamboree TV. Didn't get to play it. I was only there for 4 hours, and a lot of that time was spent queuing. But thank you for the super chat. How did the Joy-Con 2 feel in the controller grip? Really good. Weirdly good. I don't give the Joy-Con grip for the Switch one, I don't give it the time of day. It's uncomfortable for me. I'll use it if I'm round a friend's house and they hand it to me. I'm not going to go, what is this? And throw it back in their face, demanding a Pro Controller. I just take my own Pro Controller with me. No. It's okay, but it's definitely not the preferable way to play. Joy-Con 2 in the grip, leagues better. Like, so much better. Like, actually usable better. That's a bit mean. But no, really, they're really, really good. I really, really like the new Joy-Con. Way more comfortable. Thank you, Songbird's Melody. RetroDuck89. How was the rigidity of the console with the new Joy-Con attached? Did it feel solid akin to the Unibody Switch Lite, or was there still a perceivable wiggle? I have, thank you very much for the super chat, have already answered this. Does actually feel kind of Unibody. Like, it feels... I mean, if you were to stand there and you were to go and sort of like wiggle it around, you would probably feel some small amount of movement, but when you're just playing it, you don't feel a thing. It feels like one solid piece. It's great. How was the texture of the Joy-Con 2? Was it a bit grippy or smooth? Smooth, but matte. Not a million miles away from the Joy-Con 1. I would say maybe a little bit more matte, a little bit more textured, but only by a nominal amount. That's from Oregano. Thank you. Kid with Gun. Thank you for the super chat, but the message has been retracted. Anyway. GL and GR, how are these buttons? Fine. I didn't get to use them in-game, as in, like, have them actually do something. But when I had a Pro Controller, I did, just sort of, like, fiddle around with them, and they feel like every other rear button that I've ever used, to be honest, within reason. They feel a lot like the Steam Deck ones in some ways, but also slightly different. They feel fine. I don't know, I did use them, I did want to. Sort of like test it out. But I don't have a lot of interest in it personally. I've never really got back buttons, personally. I just don't see, I understand the advantages. I just don't think I'm sweaty enough to take advantage of it. But thank you for the question. Let's see. Did you... it keeps moving. Nintoz! The important question. Did you play as Cow in Mario Kart? First character I picked. It was great. Yeah, I really enjoyed Mario Kart, and I did enjoy playing as Cow. It's so silly in so many ways. It's so silly. But it works so well. I think one of the things that really gets into me is the fact that it's just called cow. It's just called cow. It's not Moo Moo Cow or Moo Moo Meadows Cow or anything like that. It's just cow. It's great. I love it. Can you visibly tell the difference between the Switch 1 and Switch 2 frame rate in handheld? Yes, I can. But I am I am the sort of person, because I work with video and things like that, I'm more sensitive to frame rates than I think most people. I can tell the difference. But I must admit, it's not a stark difference. It's not like the difference between 30 and 60, which is a big, big difference. It just feels like the way that I would describe it is, I would say it is the... If you can imagine almost like an incredibly, impossibly smooth 60 frames a second, that is what 120 frames feels like. It just feels like, this is so smooth. This is the best 60 I've ever played, you know. But you can see the difference if you're really looking for it. But I don't know if it needs a trained eye, but it helps to have a trained eye. I'm don't worry, I'm not going anywhere, but I am technically, but I will be back very shortly. I just desperately need to get some more water and give my throat a bit of a rest for, I don't know, 4 minutes. Hey, the trophy music stopped. See you in a mo. I'm back, baby, and I think I've fixed the trophy music. Nope. Yeah, no, I have. Hey, it should loop forever now. Isn't that delightful? Look, Borderlands 4. Running at 60 frames a second, supposedly. Why didn't I clock that before? Either way, hello, I'm back again. And I've got myself an apple that I'm going to be biting into every so often. I've already had a few bites, that is. So back to it. V. Hello from Night City, no doubt. How does the boot up and home menu UI look? I don't know. Didn't see it, unfortunately. Again, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, much earlier, it was all like locked down. It's all like kiosk mode. We didn't get to see masses, unfortunately. None of the UI or anything like that, like the home screen or anything like that. Tried pressing the home button. It didn't work. Tony Delat says, hi from Mexico. Is the AC adapter the same as Switch 1's same specs? Do you know? I do know that it's not the same. I believe Nintendo has that information on their website. And because I'm a good sausage, I'm going to find it out for you. Switch 1 specs, Nintendo.com. I said Switch 1 specs. What a fool I am. So here we go. I do believe it's 12 volt. No, what am I talking about? It's like, let's look at power. AC adapter port. I thought the information was here, but perhaps not. I'm fairly certain we know this, but I do want to answer it properly. So more games for you to enjoy. Power adapter. Joy-Con, nope, that's not going to help. Nope, that's not going to help. Specifications, audio output, video output, system memory size, charging time, battery life, internal battery operating. They're not being forthcoming, are they? What does it say? Nope, 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 nope. It's not there. Let me see. There should be some information online. I'm going to get this for you because I care. Is it going to be here? I hate this new... No, I want to see more information. There aren't going to be any customer reviews. Come on. People are no doubt saying in the chat, I'm probably looking like a fool right now. All because I care. They're charging 25 quid for it. That was some bad whistling. Here we go. Here we go. No, I might be onto it. No, come on. Ha! Ha! I've got it. Okay. So, the Nintendo Switch 2 AC adapter. 100 to 240 volts, very standard. Basically, it's multi-voltage. It should work in any country. You may need an adapter for the pins, of course. And it is its output. It'll draw 1.6 amps, which isn't a lot, but obviously that's, you know, a lot more. You know, 100 to 240 volts. But its output will be 5 volts, 3 amps, or 9 volts, 3 amps, or 15 volts, 3 amps. Why is that so loud? Am I that loud? I'm peaking. I'm sure it's fine. It's probably been happening a lot. Or 20 volts, 3 amps. So that isn't the same. I don't believe. I can find out very easily. Ooh. Here we are. Output 50. Yeah, no. Switch 1 only goes up to 15 volts, 2.6 amps. So the Switch, of course, yeah. Switch 2, 60 watt power supply. Wiggity woo. I don't know why I did that. Either way, that's your answer. I'm sorry it took so long to get it to you. Thank you for the super chat. Mash left and right D-pad on Pro Controller in Street Fighter 6, and my character sadly jumped a few times. Also, GCN games were at the 50 Hz EU versions, hopefully not back to the dark days. I wouldn't be too concerned about the 50 Hz mode, because that was a problem with the N64 as well. They just had both versions up. I wouldn't be concerned. But the D-pad going back and forth, I didn't test that. I must admit, I've never had the issue that so many people have had with the Switch 1 Pro controller and accidental inputs. I've never had that issue. I can't say, I'm not suggesting that people aren't having the issue. I don't want to downplay that or anything like that. But it's very difficult for me to test when I've never had it myself. I'm sorry to hear that you had that effect. Fingers crossed that it was a slight error or just something pre-manufacturer, and then it gets sorted before it launches. Fingers crossed. Thank you for the super chat. Do Tears in the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild feel brand new and exciting? They don't feel brand new because I am ludicrously familiar with them, to say the least. But how to put this? It feels very familiar, but at the same time, really performant. Really performant. They feel like, it sounds stupid to say, they feel like ports of the game on more powerful hardware. It's such a non-answer, I know. But it feels like, it's really hard to put into words. They do feel different, but at the same time, they're so familiar because they're the same game. It doesn't feel like a new game, doesn't feel... It's Kirby. No, it's not. Looking at the preview on my camera, it looked like the Kirby animation with the star falling down. Slightly different game. It feels very similar, because obviously it is. It's the same game. But also it does feel... In a way, I think what a lot of people are going to take away from it. I'm not sure I agree with this 100%, but I think a lot of people are going to play it and think, this is how it always should have been. If you've played Skyward Sword HD, feels like that. It sort of feels like, whoa, I know this game, but why is it so smooth? You know, it feels a little uncanny in that way to begin with. But it's very, very good. I was really pleased with the performance of both. Do the red games taste different? I didn't get a chance. I should have asked, just so I could say I asked, and they said no, but that wasn't going to happen. Apple time. I'm going to do small bites. Not the usual chonkers that I usually do, so that I can talk with my mouth. Not full, but you know. What else have we got? Is Mario Kart at 120 frames a second? I have heard reports to that effect. I cannot confirm it myself. I have taken footage of the screen, but it was at 60 frames a second, so... Or could I? Is there a way I could? I don't know, probably not. Okay, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to see what I can do with my own footage. I will quickly answer Doshin the Giant on Switch 2 NSO with added mouse controls. Mouse controls in Doshin. Could be fun, but unnecessary. Let's get into that universe so it happens. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Enjoy my Doshin shrine while I analyze the footage that I took myself. Unfortunately, it sounds like a really silly thing, but I'm not 100% sure I can show you this footage. I can include it in a video, but because this is a live stream, I think the rules are different. I have to be careful. Because I don't want to go down to Guantanamo Bay. Let's have a look. No, it's Metro Prime. Here we go. Ah! You didn't see nothing! Let's mute that so I'm not going to be blasted by it. But there is a sort of way I might be able to tell. I'm not sure I can tell. It looks like it's possibly. Just because there's a, when you film a screen, there's a particular kind of ghosting that goes on just due to the frame rate not matching up necessarily. Well, it doesn't match up exactly with the frame time of the video that comes through. Hang on. Go back, you fool. I can't say. I thought for a moment I may have seen evidence of 120, but I can't say one way or the other. I think have Nintendo said that it's 120 frames a second? I think it's entirely possible that it is. But I don't know if it is, unfortunately. I'm sorry I can't answer more than that. Will power banks be compatible with Switch 2? Yeah, sure. If they output the right voltage, the right amperage, they'll just work. You know, devices don't care. They don't know that you're plugging into... I actually responded to someone about this on Reddit of all things, because, you know, for my sins. I pop them there every so often, largely for the Simpsons memes, but sometimes I also look at the, like, Switch help section, just in case someone has a quick and easy problem that I can solve for them. Makes me feel good. Someone was saying that they swear that the Switch 1 power supply has a chip in it to know whether it's official or not. They don't know. It doesn't know. It doesn't know whether you're plugging into an official one or not. Or if it does, it doesn't care. See, there's Kirby. It's just doing what's called a handshake. So basically, when you plug in a device to a power supply, the power supply will send, like, it could happen in the opposite direction. I'm not an expert by any means, but there's a communication between the two devices where the power supply goes, this is what I can give you. This volt, these volts, this amperage, you know, this is what I've got. This is my menu for you. Like, you know, there you go. And the device receives it and goes, and looks for, you know, what it wants, essentially. And if it finds what it wants, it goes, yes, I'll have that, please. Sends it back, and the power supply goes, okay. And that's called a handshake. And if the handshake is successful, power is then pushed through. If it is unsuccessful, if the power supply goes, hey, I can give you 2 volts and 96 amps, the device goes, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa there. I can't take that. And doesn't put it through. Unless it's a very stupid power supply and it doesn't do the handshake. Problem's going to occur. But suffice it to say, they will work. They will work. Ones that you already have, maybe, maybe not. I can't say. I don't know what ones you've got, but I'm certain there will be lower level charging options as well as higher level charging options. If you have a power bank that's powerful enough, you can plug it into a dock. It does work. I've done that. The power bank was like this big. Thank you for the super chat. 96 amps. Yeah, it's too much, isn't it? Can you digitally share a physical card? I don't know for a fact. I don't know for a fact the answers to this question. But given what they have presented, I would say, if I were a gambling man, which I'm not, very pleased about that fact. I've seen it destroy people. I would say, no, you can't. Because it's a physical cart, you can just physically lend it to someone. I know you can't do that over the internet and stuff like that, but I think that's the idea. The idea is more for the digital side of things, so that they can behave a little bit more like cartridges. That's my thought. Can you hear the fan loudly? Is the fan noisy? I honestly don't know, because I was on a show floor. It was loud. I did try and listen out for fan noise when I could, but I couldn't hear anything. I did at one point. I just accidentally spat out a bit of apple. And that was on stream. That's captured for the rest of my life. I did actually, and the rep was confused, I think. I did sort of like put my hand over the top of the vent and I went, oh, it's not really ramping up. The fan's not really ramping up, is it? And I think the rep got a bit confused. Maybe misunderstood what I said. But what I meant is, you know, sort of that it's not working hard. That's a good sign. And so I imagine it's going to be quiet. But I don't know. I know that I wasn't feeling a lot of air coming through. I can't remember what game I was testing it on. I think it was Breath of the Wild, but I'm not 100% certain about that. Where do we go? Have you seen the UI? I have not seen the UI. Can you use Skylander's imagination on it? I don't know. I don't know is the answer. Maybe. Maybe not. Nintendo do have a full list online at the moment of games. In fact, I can get to that. So I can see if it's on there. For you, I'll see if Skylanders is on there. I suspect It is not. Let's go back a bit. No. It was later than that. No, it wasn't. There it is. There it is. Click the link. So let's see. Let's see the startup issues. Let's see if Skylanders is on here. Nope, Skylanders has not been listed as having startup issues on Nintendo Switch 2. Let's have a look. Skylanders is not listed as incompatible for Nintendo Switch 2. That doesn't mean it is compatible, though. It just means that Nintendo have either tested it and it works, or they haven't tested it, and so they don't know. That's your answer. Hi, Alex. No C button. Quick access for chat access. I'm sorry, NC Fox. I don't know how to answer that. No C button. Quick access for chat. Are you asking whether there's a way to quickly access the chat settings if you don't have a C button? In which case, I don't know. We weren't shown much of the UI at all in the Direct, and didn't get to see it at all in my hands-on. I would imagine that you can access the menu also by like pressing and holding the home button, like you can access those quick settings there. I imagine there'll be an option there. Just open up chat settings, because if you don't have a C button for whatever reason, you're going to want to do that, aren't you? Should Steam Deck and Switch OLED owners rush out to buy day one? I'm one of those people. I have a Steam Deck. I don't have a Steam Deck OLED, but I do have a Switch OLED. It depends. It depends. I know that's a rubbish answer. Well, it's not a rubbish answer. It's a very realistic answer, but it depends on what you want. If you're looking at the first-party stuff and you're like, oh my god, I need that, and it's things like DK Bonanza and Mario Kart World, you're like, I need those. Absolutely. Get a pre-order in, get it day one. I'm sure you'll love it. If, however, you're looking at, you sort of thinking, hey, that'll be a great way to play Metroid Prime 4, which you're really excited for, and Cyberpunk 2077, I would say maybe hold off, because you can play Cyberpunk on your Steam Deck. I'm not saying you should. It's a bit wobbly. And you can play Metroid on your original Switch. So it's entirely dependent on what you want from the system. If you're looking at the first-party stuff, like Mario Kart, and you want that, get it. You know? It's as simple as that. If money is a concern, hold off. You might be able to get a unit secondhand or something like that a few months down the line, because there will be some people who buy it and they just go, this isn't for me, and they sell it on, and you'll be able to get a discount. Lovely. What game are you more hyped for, Donkey Kong or Mario Kart World? Now, you see, that is an interesting question, because I'm hyped for them in two very, very different ways. I really, really love Mario Kart World. From what little I've played, it's really, really good. But I do generally prefer single-player games, all things considered. I don't have many friends. No. I don't tend to play games online that often. I prefer to just sit down and do things at my own pace. I really like a co-op game, but there aren't that many like really solid co-op games out there. Certainly not that I've been spoilt by Baldur's Gate 3. If like I had to pick one or the other, it's probably DK, just because we know less about it. And because we don't have a direct in 2 days about it, you know? It's interesting that they're taking DK in this direction. I want to see what we haven't seen yet. It's exciting. I do remember, actually. This may be a scoop. May be a scoop, and I do mean may. When I was playing the demo, I saw a banana underwater, and I thought, okay, I'll go down there, I will dive underwater, and I will grab it. And the representative said, I'm sorry, in the demo you can't dive underwater. Now that could just be that they're hedging their bets and they don't know whether it's in the final game or not. But maybe that's something you unlock. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. That's all I can say. That's all I can say on the matter. Let's go back and have a look. Whoa! Did you play Doom Eternal and did it run better? Timothy Hatton. I did not. I'm sorry. They just didn't have it there. It wasn't one of the ones available. I would really hope it runs better. We're just going to have to wait and see. I think games that have dynamic resolution and, you know, sort of dynamic resolution will benefit really, really well on the Switch 2, because it's like it's capping that performance based on what's available. And if there's loads available, it's going to go, oh yeah, run at max all the time. Maybe. You know, that's it. That's a simplification, but that's what I'm hoping. Thank you for the super chat. Have you gotten to play a game that uses the D-pad on the Pro Controller? If so, does it feel any better than the old one? And does it miss input any less? Somebody did mention, actually, that they used it. This is earlier in the stream. They mentioned that they did have some misinputs when they were playing Street Fighter. I didn't get that personally. But then I haven't had that on the Pro Controller for the Switch One either. I don't want to dismiss it and say it's not a problem. But I can't really answer that question one way or the other, because it's not something that has directly affected me. So I'm sorry I can't say one way or the other, but I would say that it feels largely very similar to the original. Hi Alex, do the one Joy-Con mode, SL and SR buttons feel easy to use? It looks a bit flat to the controller, if that makes sense. I didn't actually get to use them. I did, I pressed them and stuff like that, but only, sort of like to feel, oh, what's this like, I would say they're certainly going to be better than the SL and SR on the Switch One. Just simply because they're about 4 times the size or something like that. And these are diddy little buttons, aren't they? I would say that they're going to be substantially better, substantially more comfortable. They're not as heavy. You don't need as much pressure to press them, which is a really nice fact. They're definitely softer on Switch 2 than they are on Switch 1. NG Canadian, thank you for the super chat. Do you know if the original Switch will fit into the new dock and output to a TV, or do I need to keep it? I don't know yet. This is one of the things we featured in our 20 plus things we don't yet know about Switch 2, which you should go and check out. Just look for it on the channel. It might not be our latest video now. I don't know what's gone out, but we don't know. I would suspect it won't work. I don't know that, but I think Nintendo wants to try and sort of keep things compartmentalized. Definitely something we're going to be trying on the channel, though. You can be damn sure of that. We even tried docking a Switch Lite back in the day and nothing happened. Well, it charged, which wasn't a surprise to anyone. But yeah, we're definitely going to be trying that when that becomes an option, when we get our hands on one, because I imagine it's just not going to work. As much as anything, the dock is wider, it's bigger. So I imagine you'd have to remove the Joy-Con anyway. It would be very difficult to get it in and out because it would be further in. Let's just say I wouldn't recommend trying it, but I will do it under my own steam. Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Wowzers. Wowzers, I was not prepared for this. I had beans on toast for lunch. Hey Alex, does the Nintendo Switch 2 have a glass screen like the OLED, or is it plastic like the original Switch? I don't know 100%, but I suspect from what I've seen, I didn't check, I must admit, I suspect it's going to be plastic again. But that's not a guarantee. Please do not take that as any more than a vaguely educated guess. Let's see what else we've got here. Oh, no. My cursor's turned off. My trackpad, not my cursor. Just seen someone say beans on toast. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I actually had it with a slice of ham underneath as well. Yeah, it's extra protein. There's protein in beans as well. Hey Alex, about Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition, would you say it's worth paying for the upgrade? I would say it's dependent on your circumstances. If it's been a long time since you played them and you want to play them again, go for it. 10 quid? Just do it. What's 10 quid? I mean, it's 10 quid. It depends on it depends on your financial situation, but I imagine you are going to likely, if you really like the games and you do want to play them again, you're going to end up playing them again. So do it. You know, that 10 quid could be the best 10 quid you've spent in a couple of years' time, because it's a lovely way to play those games. It's really, really lovely. Heard someone say that Mario Kart World, they had to make the tracks larger to accommodate 24 races, which in turn made the game less challenging than Mario Kart 8. Is that true? I wouldn't say it makes it less challenging, because I did not do well. And I think I'm a pretty good Mario Kart player, but I did not do very well, unfortunately. I didn't get that much of a chance to practice and things like that, but I was doing bits and pieces, like doing the, you know, the like, you can basically just hop and get like a mini boost or like a trick boost without having anything to trick off and without having to do a turn. It's really cool. I don't know if it makes it easier. It makes it different, I would say. It makes it different. It's a different feel. It feels more like a rally game in some ways. But to say it's harder or easier than Mario Kart 8, I don't know. I was only able to play at 100cc, and I like playing at 200. And I think 200 is really going to come into its own if it is a feature in this game. So I wouldn't say it necessarily makes it a lot easier, but I can't say for certain one way or the other. I would say it makes it different. It makes it quite a different feeling game, definitely compared to previous games. And I'm hoping that there is going to be some sort of mode where it's like classic cup mode or something like that. And you just do like you used to, because I still really like that mode in Mario Kart and I don't want to let that go. But thank you very much for the super chat. Sorry, that was I'm sorry, I'm going to mispronounce this. David got that one right. Damasceno, thank you very much. Lush, thank you for the super chat. The Derby Cloud, would it be worth getting a 4K TV for my Switch 2? My word! It's like you're reading our minds when it comes to what we're going to be doing soon, video-wise. Yeah, I would say it's worth it. Because none of the games that I played were running at 4K native. But Mario Kart, for example, I don't know exactly what resolution it's running at when it's in TV mode, but I've zoomed in, and at a best guess, I would say that it's running at about 1440p. And whilst that's not 4K, your 1080p screen can't display 1440p. Well, it'll scale it, obviously. You know, you can do that. Most TVs are reasonably capable, or the Switch will output a 1080p signal. But I would say that it's worth taking advantage of that 1440p, and there's going to be a lot of games that go above 1080p, so I would say that it is worth getting. But again, depends on your financial situation. I wouldn't make yourself destitute over it. If you've got a good 1080p screen, that will also be absolutely lovely for you. But if you have the opportunity, if you're looking to upgrade anyway, definitely look at 4K. Definitely. Whirlwind, DK Bonanza's transparencies. Did I really see an object between DK and camera pixelate and dither its textures instead of dialing down the opacity? Ooh, that is a really technical question. I like it. Yes, I would say. And that is for very good reason. And I think I know other games that do this. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. I want to say maybe Mario Odyssey, but I don't think it is. Yeah, that sort of dithering, you could argue, is a cheap out, because transparency looks better and, you know, is a sort of a better way to display things, but it is CPU intensive or GPU intensive. I'm pretty sure it's GPU actually. So you can get around that by dithering, and dithering doesn't actually do any transparency. It doesn't have to work out how transparent it is. It's just like render it around this bit and not these bits around it, like a grid pattern. I actually think it looks good. I think stylistically it works well as well. And if it means that you get better performance out of it and that it ends up running at a better frame rate, I'd say all power to it. I don't think transparency is a big deal in these instances. Also, I do think that you can run into issues with transparency when it comes to things like models. I know there are ways around it, but like if you've got like a character model where the head is rendered and then the inside of the mouth, Again, I know there are ways around this. I'm not saying that this is the way it is, but you can just make it semi-transparent. So you make this bit semi-transparent, but then you also make the mouth inside semi-transparent so you can see the inside of the mouth. Yeah, I know there are ways around it. I know there are better ways to do that. But we're not seeing that here. I like the dithering, but that is absolutely, you weren't wrong. You did see that 100%. I think it's a perfectly fine thing to include. But thank you for the super chat. Did you play with the GameCube controller, and did you think the Rumble would work outside Switch Online? I did not. Glitzvile, thank you very much for the super chat. That is a substantial one as well. I did not use the GameCube controller, unfortunately. And it has been revealed, or rather people have become aware in the Direct. You know what? Maybe I'll even try and find it, because I don't think we're that far away. Or are we? Oh, I don't like scrubbing through on this. I really don't like scrubbing through on this. It's so unresponsive. Where was the GameCube? Was it earlier? Guys, where was the GameCube? Guys! I'm being made a fool of! I can't see any GameCube games. It was after. No! Where is it? Damn you, 4K, read more quickly. Suffice it to say. Oh, Final Fantasy. That, Here we go. No. Okay, it's not there. Okay, it's not in the Direct. It must be somewhere else. Let me have a look. But Nintendo did clarify that it will only be compatible with GameCube games on Switch, Nintendo Switch Online, which is not great, to say the least. But we don't know for a fact that means it won't work. We only know that they're just saying it's not compatible, which means that maybe it doesn't have all the full functionality. Things like amiibo support, gyro, and things like that. Clicking the left stick and the C stick in. If that doesn't work, certain games just won't work because you need to do things like sprint by clicking the left stick in. So that may be more what they're referring to, but we don't know at the moment. I'm afraid I can't give you any more of an answer than that. But fingers crossed. I would like to think they're basically just saying it's not compatible because, yeah, it works, but you don't have all the inputs in the same way that, like, I'm fairly certain you can use the NES Joy-Con things. I'm fairly certain you can use those in any game, but like most games, it doesn't work because it's like, mate, this is a D-pad, you know? Let's see what else. That's false info on Nintendo's end. GC controller will work with everything. I don't want to make any assumptions either way at the moment because we just don't know. We just don't know. I've seen some other people backing up my idea, but again, we don't know. That's the thing. We can't jump to conclusions right now because we don't know how things are going to be locked down. We don't know how things are going to be implemented. We can infer, we can make assumptions, but it is not confirmed until we get it from the horse's mouth, or we do it ourselves. That is the only way that we can do. W Apple. I do like my apples. Can you use the GameCube controller in Sunshine with 3D All-Stars? That's a good question. We don't know. Are Nintendo going to do Super Mario 3D All-Stars 2? And finally include Super Mario Galaxy 2? We don't know. Would it be compatible with that? 40th anniversary this year, so who knows? Lush has asked, after Mario Kart, what is the one game is a must-buy for me? Tricky. Metroid Prime. It wasn't tricky. I just realised. Obviously not technically an exclusive. It's coming to Switch 1 as well. But, yeah. 100%. I loved Metroid Prime 4. They're doing some really sort of clever little things with it. I didn't get to play nearly as much as I would have liked. Only the opening section, but, you know. Did you get a chance to play Street Fighter 6 on a single Joy-Con? I didn't get a chance to play Street Fighter 6 full stop. My time was so limited there. so limited. It was, I don't want to say disappointing, because I got to play it, you know, and that's a big thing. But I do think that I would have benefited from having twice as long. I could easily have been there twice as long and still not done everything. I've also just seen someone ask, important question, what kind of apple is it? This is a Golden Delicious, which is not one I usually buy, but it was on offer in Aldi, so I got it. And they were really nice when I first got them, and now a bit more generic apple by now, maybe? I don't know. Now that I'm actually sat and tasting it, it does taste more like the Golden Delicious I had before. I'm more of a Braeburn man generally. I like a tart apple. I will eat I'll eat a Granny Smith very easily. I'll even eat like a Bramley cooking apple, which is like one of the most British apples. It's just this great big knobbly green thing. Like they can be like that wide, if not wider. And they are so tart. They're called cooking apples for a reason. And they are delicious. I love them. How big a jump in screen quality from the Switch 2 to the OLED? I have largely already answered this, but I will do it again because it's an important one. I would say, jazz apples. Yeah, nice one. Well done, Sketches of Harmony. You've got good taste. It's not... The HDR is really nice. So colours pop a little bit more. Everything's nice and clean and crisp and clear. Like, it's a higher resolution, but the contrast isn't as good as it is on the OLED. It's not a substantial difference, though. Like, it is far more minor than I anticipated. When it's a completely black screen, you can see that it is an LCD, not an OLED. It is, if you're looking for it, you can tell. But it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. I think it's going to be great regardless. How much belief do you have in the success of Switch 2, taking from your test experience, price reactions, and everything into account? I think it's going to do absolutely fine. I think it's going to be quite a big success, but I don't think it's going to reach the heights of the Switch 1, personally. I think the price is a possible contender, but the big thing, because the thing is, people balk at the price, and that's fine. Yeah, it is definitely higher than the Switch 1, absolutely. But eventually, there'll be that game that comes out for people, and they'll go, oh my god, I need that game. And people will put that money up. And it's money that you only have to put up once for a console. Obviously, you have to buy games as well. I know, I'm not a fool. I know you got to buy games. But even so, as a device, you just buy it, and it's there. And yeah, you can buy extra games. You can buy Nintendo Switch Online, the subscription. If you're clever, you can get it for £5 a year by spreading out the cost with 8 other people. That is... But, you know, you're not going to have to spend it again. It's not like buying a phone where, you know, sort of you end up buying another one in... Some people buy a new phone every year. I don't get that. I've had this phone for 2 years. And it's probably going to be in my pocket for another 4 or 5. It's a mini. And they're not making another mini. Or they're not planning to. And I love my mini. So screw you. I'm not buying another one. And I do also think that the response from people saying that, you know, I've seen a lot of people saying that the Switch 2 is going to fail. You know, it's too expensive, blah, blah, blah. The long laundry list of details. And people were saying exactly the same thing about Switch 1. I think it's even been circulating. People have found like an old, what is it? It might be Reset Era or NeoGAF, if that's even still a thing. I don't even know. Like an old forum of people saying, there's no way the Switch 1's going to succeed with this big laundry list of reasons. It doesn't matter to a vast majority of people who end up buying it. You know, sort of you watching, just by the fact that you're watching me talk about the Switch 2, you are like the, I don't know, probably the 1% of Switch owners. Probably the 1%. You are the hardcore, essentially. You are looking up stuff adjacent to it. Most people just buy it, and they'll play it, and they'll have a good time, and they'll move on with their life, and they'll probably come back to it and play it. They're very casual. Very casual. That is the vast majority of players. And the vast majority of owners, purchasers. You know, a lot of them are going to be parents as well, and you may well say parents aren't going to spend $450, if that is what it ends up being, on a console. You know, that isn't as powerful as, say, like a PS5. The parent, unless they're in the know, doesn't care about power. It's just you've got two options. Little Jimmy, little Stacy. Well, with Stacy of all names. I knew someone called Stacy at college. Maybe that's why. They want a games console. They're old enough now that they want a games console. What have we got here? We've got the PS5, which recently went up in price. Or we've got the Nintendo Switch 2. This one is huge. It plugs into a TV. You know, this one's smaller, cheaper, and, you know, still has all the games on it. Oh, it's portable as well, so they don't have to take up the TV. Push. Getting that. And if they're not getting that, they'll get a Switch 1. Simple as that. And it may well be that there are, you know, sort of, it doesn't go that way and the price is too high and it's just beyond that threshold and people won't buy it. But we don't know yet because you can't possibly predict that. You've got some so-called analysts out there that will say it's going to be the biggest thing in the world or it's going to fail immediately. We don't know until we get some data about sales. And even then, the first month of sales is not going to be any indicator for the long-term sales. The long-term sales are going to be dependent on games that are released, any price drops and things like that, the availability, whether, you know, sort of it's already sold a lot or not. If it sells a lot, it's going to continue to sell a lot. I don't want to get into the economics of it, but to make any, like, big, like, precise statements right now is foolish. And anyone who does that is basically either trying to have you on, they're a fool, or both, that can happen, or, you know, third option, they're intentionally trying to grab your attention and outrage you so that you continue to watch their content. That's usually what happens. It's called rage bait. It's a real thing. Also, some people just love to complain. That's also that's also a big thing. Here we go. Wowzers. And by the way, I just want to say thank you everyone for coming along today. It's really lovely. There's so many people here. It's fantastic. Wowzers trousers. It's a delight to have you all here. The mere fact it's just another powerful Switch is enough for me to go full in on the console if it's all I ever wanted. Yeah, that's a big thing, Mr. Tarask. Tarask. I know that word because it's in D&D, isn't it? I've never actually pronounced it out loud. Yeah, I agree. I think, you know, it's basically what I wanted. I love the Switch 1. I basically just want a bigger, better Switch, and here it is, you know, and they've got some new ideas with the MouseCon, things like that. They're not going to call it MouseCon officially. It's going to be mouse control mode or something like that, you know. But, you know, yeah, I think it's great. I genuinely do. I can't wait to get my hands on it. And having already got my hands on it briefly, I can say it's a great console to use. It's way more comfortable in the hand. Responsive. It just feels like an upgrade in every capacity. It's great. Very un-Nintendo in that sense. Mario Kart World players per Switch Online, local system link. Jeremy Cox creates. I don't know. I imagine you could do 24 players online if they're remote, obviously. Remote online. You know what I mean. I don't know. I imagine it's going to be 24. We don't know for certain. Wait a couple of days. There'll be the direct. I'm sure they'll go into bags more detail than I ever possibly could. As for local system link, again, I don't know. You know, maybe you could do some split screen. Maybe you could get 24 linked up. It's got Wi-Fi 6 in it. Maybe it can handle it. We don't know. It's going to be exciting. Can you imagine doing a local 24-player Mario Kart game, though? That'd be great. Nintendo, do it. I say do it like you haven't already decided this, like, probably a year ago. Either way, are the bezels as big and as shown or better in person? Says Living Legend. Thank you for the super chat. I would say they're fine. I know that's not a great answer, but I stopped noticing them. But then again, I'm not very sensitive to bezels as a rule, which is a weird thing to say out loud. But I'm not. I'm just not fazed by them. I've got a Steam Deck. I don't really pay attention. yeah, don't get me wrong. I go back to the original Switch and those bezels are big, and it's not like that. It's way closer to the OLED, I would say. It helps as well that it's a bigger screen. Excuse me, I had to stop myself from really hiccuping loudly then. Because I also needed to slightly burp. Just slightly. I would say it's not a big deal. The bezels are there. You'll forget about them in 5 minutes, if that. But thank you for the super chat. How do you feel about the gliding and boat transformations in Mario Kart World compared to the gliding and underwater stuff in Mario Kart 8? Are they substantially different? Substantively different. I do apologise. Hang on. I'm fairly certain we can do 24 local, because I did it. I did knockout. With 23 other people. Whether that was wireless, whether that was wired, I imagine it was wired. And it was on demo units. How that was done, I don't know. It could have been online, it could have been spoofed, that's sometimes a thing. It's a fair point. In some capacity, you will be able to do 24 local. That's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Thank you, Soup Detective, for bouncing back to a previous question. That's great. But regarding gliding and transformations and things like that, I would say it's a little bit like, I mean, the gliding is gliding, not flying. It mostly feels like Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, which, I've got to be honest, isn't a bad thing. That game is great. You just go into the water, and suddenly you're a boat. It's as simple as that, and it handles a bit like a boat as well. One thing I did notice... I meant to check this on Mario Kart 8. Maybe you guys can shed some light on this. In Mario Kart World, you can do something very similar to what you could do in Mario Kart 64, a really tight turn, by coming to a standstill and pressing and holding A and B, and you can do sort of like, you can swivel around. It's not as tight and sensitive as it was in Mario Kart 64, but it is similar to do some like really tight turns. Was that in 8? I don't think I ever did it. There's no real need to do it in 8. But when you're going around like Mario Kart World, you know, you're going to be free roaming and stuff. It may be that you get yourself into a tight little corner and you just need to, I just need to get out. And that's a lot easier way to do it. Sonic Transform was a Wii U game. Certainly was. Has been a thing in most Mario Kart games. Okay, yeah. I just can't remember if it was in 8. I don't think I ever tried because I never had any need to. Yes, I just did it. Okay, so it is in 8. Okay, well, that's back in World. So that's something. I wouldn't say they feel substantially different to the car, but they do feel different. They do feel different. I think the gliding, it probably feels roughly the same as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But it, in terms of how it controls anyway, but it feels better. Because one thing I never really liked was the glider popping out. It was fine, it's not a big deal, don't get me wrong, but suddenly that covers part of your vision. You know, sort of like an area where you'd be focusing, just a little bit of it, but it just covers that area. The wings coming out the side, way better. Way, way better. You still feel like you're in control. You kind of feel, in a way, less like you're gliding, in a weird sense. You feel like you've got more control, even though I'm not sure whether you do or not. It feels like you've got more control. I really like it. It's a small upgrade, but a substantial one in the quality of life field. Mr. Tarask, you're a D&D content creator. Yeah, I did use, there's like a Tarask online thing, or Tarask. It depends on your accent. I'll say it with an American accent. Yeehaw. That's not it. Yeah, Tarask. It's like an online thing where you can... I'm not going to go into it. That's not why we're here. Riley Bittle is asking about the screen. I've gone over this a lot, but I will just say very quickly again, because a lot of people seem to be asking about it, and I don't want to leave you high and dry. It's not a big deal. It's not a big downgrade. There are some things that are upgraded. Colors pop more, but the contrast isn't as great. But it is minor. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to notice mid-game. It's only on a black screen where you can really see that, yeah, it's not black like an OLED. It's grey like an LCD. Hey Alex, thoughts on mouse controls? I have a feeling it won't be used much, but that might be because I'm skeptical about from the IR sensor thing. What games would you want to see use it? Pikmin. Pikmin. We mentioned this. I discussed with a couple of colleagues. It's absolutely ripe for it. Pikmin with mouse controls. It's going to happen. I guarantee it. I don't guarantee it. I can't because I don't know, but I highly suspect it. I actually like the mouse controls. What I really liked, and I did try this, and they encouraged you to. I'm going to be able to do this on camera. Probably not. How flexible am I? Surprisingly, that's higher than I thought I was going to get, but I can't show you anyway. Using it on a trouser leg, you know, just using it on my leg, felt surprisingly good. I've done it with mice before, and it doesn't really work because of how wide they are. You know, it sort of works. It's actually working better than I remember. What are you doing that for? No, I don't want to open up Safari from iPad Air 5th generation. Come up with a better naming scheme. And I think it's just because you invariably have to grip the sides more. It feels you can go over the contours much more easily. And I really like that. I didn't do it for loads of time, just simply because I had a surface in front of me with a big mouse pad, so I was going to use that. But if I was just on the sofa or something like that, yeah, I'm going to be using my leg. I'm not going to get something special to do it. I'm ideally going to use like the arm of the sofa or something like that, you know. It works surprisingly well. And it was really quite freeing in a lot of ways. It was a weird experience, but really a good one. I really like the mouse controls. I really, really do. Whoa. You're doing great, Alex. Oh, thank you. Lee Mass Gaming. You're doing great as well. What is your biggest game that you want to see upgraded that hasn't been announced yet? Smash. Smash, smash, smash. I either want to see a new Smash game. You know, sorry, Sakurai, I still want to see it. I don't want to put him through hell, but new Smash. Sorry. So, someone's got to suffer. That's a bit mean. No. I'd be really happy with like a Smash Ultimate paid upgrade, I imagine. 4K, 120 hertz. You can't do that. 4K 60 or 120 hertz, 180. That I see happening. I really do. And I will pay for it. I absolutely will. And it won't come with the Fighter's Pass. And some people will kick up a fuss about that. And that's fair enough. But I've already got the Fighter's Pass. 10 quid. Ideally, just 10 quid. Maybe even with some extra stuff thrown in, that would be even better. New stages, new control modes. You can use the mouse mode. That would be stupid, but, you know, could be fun, couldn't it? Yeah, Smash. It's Smash. Either that or Luigi's Mansion 3. Imagine Luigi's Mansion 3, 4K 60. That game still looks amazing today. And it would run. I'm pretty sure that they could get it to run 4K 60 if they tried, which they probably would if they decided to go down that route. Did I say 180p? I meant 1080p. But yeah, 120, like if you could do 120 hertz Smash, delightful, absolutely delightful. Wouldn't even have to do much. The game still looks great to this day, and it runs amazingly because it's made by Wizards. Has anyone tried mouse mode in handheld, one Joy-Con attached on the other on the lap? I imagine it'd be uncomfortable, but I'm curious. I don't know if it would work, only because, like with the standard Switch, if you detach Joy-Con in handheld mode, this is a terrible way to hold it. If you detach a Joy-Con, suddenly it wants to treat these as separate things. It wants to treat them as separate inputs. It wants to say, this is attached, so you're not doing handheld. This is detached, so you want to do, like, not handheld, yeah? So I imagine there's going to be some confusion and discrepancy regarding that. But it may be that because of the mouse mode, Nintendo are taking that into consideration. We don't know. We're going to have to wait and see, aren't we? You got Mario Kart, DK, Pikmin, Metroid, Kirby. Do you think we'll get a new Mario, new Zelda anytime soon? This is from V again. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you everyone for the super chats. On the or the end of the Switch 2's life cycle. I don't think it's going to be the end. I think it's going to be like next year. I think either that or like a load of people have been saying Christmas this year. But I think next year is a solid bet. I think that's going to be easy peasy. Starry Night Pinkle. Hey Alex, how many Miis can I put on my Nintendo Switch 2? I'm afraid I have no idea. I don't even know what the limit is on the Switch 1, to be honest. It's never really come into it. It would be really good if we could get, you know, sort of loads of storage, because if they go down the route of having like more advanced Miis, a little bit like what we kind of seen in Tomodachi Life, the new Tomodachi Life, or indeed the oh, what is it? The Miitopia. Yeah, Miitomo was the mobile one. Miitopia. Like, if you could do that on like a system level, oh, that'd be delightful. Whether we can do that or not, I don't know. We just don't know yet. But I would really like them to see, to like really embrace that idea around Miis and make them really, like, really customizable and really versatile, because some people did some ridiculous stuff with those things. It was amazing. I still love what people did. And like, even a few things that I didn't do amazing stuff, but I did some really cool stuff for me, you know, stuff that I never thought I'd be able to do. And I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to bring those Miis into every game. Imagine Switch Sports, where you can play as Ganondorf, but specifically the CDI Ganondorf. Now, that would be good. Alex, I'm not a big graphics guy, says T. How substantial is 120 frames per second compared to 60? For me, more than anything. I mean, I can tell 120 hertz. It's a subtle difference. I'm sure if you're really into your PC gaming and you're looking at like, you got a 240 hertz monitor or something like that, you can probably tell better than I can. But I can tell a significant difference between, I said slight. There is a notable difference. It's not tiny. The way I would describe it, for someone who's not like big into graphics, and I mentioned this earlier, is imagine like the smoothest 60 frames a second you've ever felt. The smoothest. It's like, oh my god, this isn't dropping a frame. This is so smooth. Is the only way that I can really describe it, without just getting boringly into numbers, which isn't useful. And I think, for me, think of it as headroom for achieving a good 60. So you know, if you're hitting 60, you're doing a good job. But if you can go up to 120, you can lose half your frames and it's still 60 frames a second. And that is brilliant. It just gives you that much more flexibility. If for example, I just gave you the example I was going to say. Simple as that. I'm going a little bit doolally as this stream goes on. Do you think the version 1 Switch 2 will be hackable? I mean, everything's hackable in some way, isn't it? I don't want to go into any details because it's a wobbly area to say the least. But if it's an electronic device, it's open to vulnerabilities. They all are. Take that what you will. 120 frames a second feels like a perfect 60 frames a second. You won't notice a drop. Yeah, I think it's a good way of putting it. It's just like perfect performance in a weird way. Yeah, it just feels like perfect performance. Is 100cc Mario Kart World faster than 150cc Mario Kart 8 Deluxe? It's a very difficult question to answer. It's a very good question, don't get me wrong, but it's a very difficult question to answer. I'd have to look at them side by side. It may be that it's faster. I don't know. But I imagine because of the like journey between courses and stuff like that, I wouldn't be surprised if it was faster. But it may be you perceive it as the same because the courses are longer and wider and things like that. Oh, Sweetwater. Would you... Paul, would you describe 120 frames a second as being smooth with a capital smooth? Yeah, I would. Red Dwarf reference. We don't get enough of those. Living Legend. I wonder if Switch games... This isn't a question. I wonder if Switch 1 games will be automatically upscaled to 1080p. Donkey Kong Country Returns has some noticeable jaggies, and it could really benefit from better anti-aliasing. That is a question that we raised in the things we don't know about the Switch. You know, if you're playing a Switch 1 game, and you're playing it handheld, is it going to be in the handheld mode? Is it going to be 720p? Or is it going to play the docks mode? In a way, I feel like it would be easier to just play the docks mode. Then you've only got one mode to worry about. We don't know, but then there may be some compatibility issues with things like text size and things like that. If it's expecting to be a handheld, sometimes, I mean, don't talk to me about Civ 6. When you're playing in, this is the previous Civ, not the most recent one. When you're playing in handheld mode, the UI is great. When you're playing in docked mode, it doesn't scale it any differently, so it just takes up so much of the screen. It's too much. It's overwhelming. Can you pick between 4K and 120 frames a second, says Emil. I think that's how it's pronounced. I'm sorry about your name if I pronounced it incorrectly. I would say... Oh, it's a game dependent. Game dependent. So, like Metroid, for example, Metroid Prime 4, you can choose between performance mode and quality mode. Quality mode is 4K 60, performance mode 120 1080p. I did those the wrong way round, didn't I? As in, performance... Quality mode, 4K 60. Performance mode, 1080p 120. I got it right that time. Bully for me. Do you think the Wi-Fi will be way less spotty on Switch 2 compared to Switch 1? I hope so. I hope so with all my heart, because that's one of the few things I cannot stand about the Switch 1, is the Wi-Fi and the download speeds are atrocious. They say it's got Wi-Fi 6 in it, and I hope that that will be enough. I know that there were other things like it was technically hampered by things like the CPU and stuff like that, and allocation of resources. But I'm hoping, because they got Wi-Fi 6 there, they'll have more headroom broadly with the Switch 2. It will be a better experience. If it's not, I'm going to be very angry, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I struggle with Switch in handheld because of its size, but I love the Steam Deck. How does Switch 2 compare? Good question. Obviously, the Steam Deck has the ergonomics, the sort of the grips, which the Switch 2 does not have. But I don't know if it needs it in the same way. Certainly not in the same way that the Switch 1 desperately needs it, because it's too small for my hands as well. And I think that was a common complaint. And I think that's why they've gone for this larger system. And they also had the Switch Lite, which was even smaller still. Wowzers trousers. But not everyone's hands are the same size. As somebody with slightly larger than average sized hands, I would say, I think they're large. I don't go around measuring my hands. I would say it is substantially more comfortable, the Switch 2. Substantially. Like, there's almost no comparison. The Switch 1, it's sort of like, sort of, it's fine, but, it's creaky as well with the Joy-Con. Switch 2, bigger, more comfortable, not even that much heavier. It's lighter than the Steam Deck, and I don't think the Steam Deck is that heavy. And it feels really solid as well. The Joy-Con is so solid in there. Hi, do you think we'll have a Switch 2 launch delay? Ooh, that is a tough question. I assume you're broadly speaking about the US. I'm going to assume that. I don't think so, but I don't think we can rule it out either. We've got 2 months. Roughly, not quite 2 months. It's more like 6 weeks now, isn't it? Until it comes out. I don't think, due to the brief amount of time that it is, they will want to delay it at all. I think they're going to stick to their guns and say, yep, it's coming out, even if it means... Oh, I don't know. Because this whole tariff situation, don't want to get political, but it's absolutely ludicrous, isn't it? It's absolutely ludicrous. I can't believe that they would put someone like that in charge. But the long and short of it is, obviously, the economy, particularly in the US, very tumultuous, very difficult to predict at the moment, because someone in charge just decides to do ridiculous things for nothing more than personal gain. But I think Nintendo will stick to their guns. I imagine more than anything, a lot of this is going to be peacocking, which means just showing off, just trying to show power. And I imagine Nintendo has taken the precautions that they think are necessary in order to make sure that it will launch at the same time. It's possible if there is a delay, it would be localized to the United States. If that is the case, that is going to go down very, very badly. But I really don't think we can blame Nintendo on this one. I really don't think that's fair. I don't think it'll affect the rest of the world. I think Nintendo, especially Japan, for example, big, important territory for Nintendo. You know, sort of, as much as anything, they've got to save face. They've said this release date. I imagine they're going to stick to it. They also have third-party games that all need to come out. It's all lining up. The 24 launch titles. There are too many wheels moving. Too many wheels moving. So I imagine, even if there is a delay, I imagine it will be localized to the US. And that's not me saying, don't worry, it's not going to affect me. I feel for anyone who's going to be affected by that, because that is going to be horrible. Horrible beyond... Well, not beyond compare, but it's going to be horrible, you know? But with any luck, it won't come to it. With any luck, things will have quietened down by then. But honestly, who knows right now? Does the Switch 1 work in the Switch 2 dock? We don't know. I don't imagine it will. I don't know it won't, but I don't imagine it will, because the Switch 1 is a lot smaller. So even if you could put it in the dock, I mean, the Joy-Con aren't going to fit in because they'll get in the way. So you'll have to remove the Joy-Con, and then suddenly it's like if the Switch dock is this big, like this, roughly, I don't take this as read, and the Switch is this big, you have to like fish it out. It's not going to be practical. How do the sticks feel? MD. Bloody marvellous. They feel fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. What? Apple time. They feel really smooth. Like, you know when you do a full rotation of... I'll use this, not this, to demonstrate. So you know when you do a full rotation on your Pro Controller or your Joy-Con or something like that, you can feel there's just a little bit of friction. You know, it's not 100% smooth. You never expect it to. Controllers never have been, really, with a few exceptions. Imagine if someone polished that and it was like to a mirror finish. And it's just like, why is it so smooth? Why is it so smooth? Like almost slippery. Almost slippery. That's how it feels. And it feels great. It feels great. And I say slippery, I don't mean in the sense that, oh, you're going to have less control or anything like that. If anything, you've got more control because you've got less resistance. You'll have to use more fine motor control, but it will be worth it. App full time. Where are the magnets? Where are the magnets? They're there. How easy is it to... This is JJ78. How easy is it... Come back! To access the face buttons and analog sticks of the Joy-Con when in mouse mode. Quite easy. The analog stick, I didn't really try. I don't think you're meant to use it. I could be wrong. But the face buttons... It's quite easy. The main sort of hurdle that I think will come from that is not reaching the buttons, but having enough of a grip on the mouse when in mouse mode to press it and not move, like to twist it when you're doing that. So you press and twist like that. But that's something that I think can easily be mitigated with practice or some sort of third-party grip that makes it wider and more comfortable to use as a mouse. I see you went with a German apple. What? Golden delicious. What? Nate's asked if I played Eternal Darkness yet. I played it a bit. I haven't completed it by any means. Be really cool if that came to an end, so wouldn't it? Oh, blimey. Been doing this... Feels like I've been doing this, with respect, a lot longer than 2 hours. It's quite challenging to stand here and just answer questions all the time. Hard on my throat. Oh! I do apologise, Living Legend. Super chat. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who sent a super chat. Alex, did you play Fast Fusion? And what are your thoughts? Every time I see Fast Fusion written down, I want to read it as Fast Furious. I didn't. Sorry. I can't say anything about it, except that I'm blinking excited because I loved Fast RMX, and I even loved Fast Racing Neo. It's a great game. Oh, the Pixel Tavern, no question. Just wanted to say thank you for all the great videos over the years. Been watching since your first video and reading the site since before that. Thank you very much. My first video. God, I'm so sorry. that is a video, to say the least. Mario Kart World needs a cow only mode, says Cam. Yeah, why not? Can you record game clips for longer than 30 seconds and stream? Good question. Something that we covered in a video we did recently where we talked about things we still don't know about the Switch 2. By that definition, by that statement, you should be able to infer that we don't know, unfortunately. It is a real shame. Will Metroid 4 have a red game card for the Switch 2 edition? Hope so, says Graham. I imagine it probably will. I don't see why it wouldn't. All the others do. And whether that's... I don't know how they're limiting it, but I don't think it's going to be substantially limited. I think there'll be the standard version and the Switch 2 version. They'll be in the shop, side by side. You grab the one that says Switch 2. It'll have a red game cartridge. It needs to identify itself, and that's one of the identifiers. Paul asks, guys, please do not keep spamming the same question every few seconds. Paul has the right idea. I can't possibly answer all your questions. I do apologise. I do what I can, but if you really want to get my attention, post one... No, I can't even joke about that. I was going to say, post one question and then move on. No, that's not fair. That's not fair at all. Lucas. I need to say Locus. That's not a word. Lucas Rodriguez. Apologies for that pronunciation. Thank you for the super chat. I know you talked about the Pro Controller and Joy-Cons already, but what about their weight? I always thought that especially the Pro Controller, was too light. Also, come to Brazil! I'd love to go to Brazil. I have never been. Yeah, just never been. I must admit, I've not done a lot of international travel. YouTube doesn't pay as well as you'd think it might. I've done Japan recently, though, and that was amazing. Pro Controller... unfortunately, I can't really say about the Pro Controller. Because, I mean, they might have some specs online. But when I was playing it, it was all tethered. So, like, it was plugged in and there was, like, a tether to make sure people didn't yank it and run away and all that sort of thing. And they kind of weigh it down. Let's see. Oh. Here you go. 235 grams. How much did the Switch 1 weigh? I'm not going to ask for it. Oh! It's slightly lighter. There's your answer. It may not be the answer you're looking for, but, yeah, I mean, if you really wanted to, I know it sounds silly, but if you really wanted to increase the weight, you could always, like, glue some weights to it. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it would work, you know, sort of in the same way that sometimes you buy electronics and they literally put just chunks of metal in to weigh it down and make it feel more premium. That happened to me recently and I was a bit disappointed. Living Legend asks, does the Switch also have a black theme, a dark mode? I don't know. I think it would be amazing if it wasn't, if it didn't have that. I think it's very, very likely that it does, but we don't know yet, and I don't know, unfortunately. Every instance that I've seen has been light mode, but I'm sure there's going to be a dark mode. They put it on Switch 1, why would they not put it on 2, you know? How did the Rumble feel, especially in comparison to the PS5 controller? I've already answered this question. I will answer it again, because I think you're lovely people. I am not the best judge for this sort of thing, because I don't tend to notice rumble. I don't know why. And I mean, I do if I'm looking for it. If I'm paying attention, you say, does this controller vibrate? And I hold it and I go, yeah. Like, I'm not that dull to it, but I'm focusing so much on the game, I don't feel the rumble in the same way. It sounds silly, but it's true. And I'm not familiar with the PS5 either. I've used PS5, but I don't own one. So I can't reasonably give a proper response to that. I don't feel confident enough. I don't think I've got the right knowledge for that. And I wouldn't want to give you the wrong idea one way or the other. I have heard from colleagues that the HD Rumble 2, it feels really, really good. And I didn't, unfortunately, get to try Welcome Tour, which is where you test it. I had to play Metroid instead. Priorities. Our man's got workers' hands. Is that the size thing? Is that a size thing? I thought workers' hands were like calluses and stuff like that. Trust me, I do not have workers' hands. I've got manicured hands. How's the Joy-Con grip? I don't know if I should buy the Pro Controller at launch. Honestly, the Pro Joy-Con... Good lord, sorry. There are fungus gnats in here at the moment. I do apologise. Because I'm growing plants in here. Vegetable plants. And unfortunately, fungus gnats have found their way in, and they are being a nuisance. So if you're seeing flies buzz around, I promise you, it's not because it's dirty. It's because I've got some lovely green grass. I'm going to show you. I don't want anyone to think that I've got flies in here because it's filthy. I'm really clean. Oh, there's a pigeon outside. Whoa. Here we go. So this is just a few of the things that I've got growing in here. We've got a tomato here, the big tall boys. They're tomatoes. A couple of cosmos here. More tomatoes down there. Oh, that tomato smell. I never used to like it, but I do now. This is a slight tangent, I know. Got some aubergines in the middle. Amaranth here. There's the dark red stuff. I don't know whether you can see that. And some chilies on the side. Got a load more chilies on the windowsill as well. So if you're seeing any little flies buzzing around, it's not because it's dirty. It's because I've got plant life in here. I like gardening. Oh. There you go. I desperately don't want to knock those off. Ooh, tomatoes. Thank you, Major's Mask. Farming simulator. Yeah. How do you get rid of fungus flies? Fungus gnats. They're a nuisance, honestly. I'm not going to go into great detail. I've got a trap, which has basically got some mirin and yuzu vinegar, just because those are the things I had to hand. They like vinegar. They like sweet stuff as well. Go for a vinegar-sweet mix. Generally seems to work quite well, and you can dilute it a bit as well. Also some sticky traps. I don't like them, but honestly, otherwise you'd be overrun by them. Apple cider vinegar, says Dingus. Absolutely. Great one. I just don't have any. Yeah, loads of people saying apple cider vinegar. Yeah. Oh yeah, put it in a pot and put it near it. Don't just pour it into your plants. That's not a good idea. Anyway, I was talking about the Joy-Con grip. The Joy-Con drip. Someone's going to do that now, aren't they? Joy-Con drip. The Joy-Con grip, it feels really good. It is way closer to a Pro Controller than the original Joy-Con drip. I said drip again. I'm honestly not doing it on purpose. The grip, the Switch 1 grip, I don't like. You know, sort of, it's fine, it functions, but that's all it does. It's not great. It's not comfortable, you know. But the new one feels substantially better. Big part, in fact, due to the fact that the Joy-Con are just bigger, more comfortable, bigger buttons, bigger sticks as well. Top drawer. Yes. What more have we got? Do you think they'll just combine the Lite and OLED for Switch 2 rather than making 3 separate iterations? I honestly don't know. That's an interesting... It's a speculative question, obviously, but it's an interesting one nonetheless. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't do a Lite. Maybe they would. I've got to be honest, I think they maybe just stick to their guns with this one, and if we do get an OLED, it'll be later down the line. They may not even do an OLED, to be honest. They may just want to try and keep it simple. I don't know. Obviously, they'll miss out on people double dipping, but I think it could go either way. Honestly, either way. Does the Joy-Con drip... Does the Joy-Con grip have a headphone jack? I don't believe it does. Interestingly, the standard Joy-Con grip doesn't have the GL and GR buttons, the grip buttons, but the charging grip does. Thanks, Nintendo. Honestly, genuinely quite annoying. But it's something, you know. Let's see, because I'm fairly certain they detail it here. Charging grip. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. Unfortunately, it does not look like it. So that's a Pro Controller only feature for the time being. Whether that changes in future, we'll have to wait and see. Is the individual direction button now better for side-scrolling or 2D platformer games? I'm presuming you mean the sort of like the face button D-pad on the Joy-Con. I didn't really give it a chance. I must admit, I never really had much of an issue with them. Maybe I'm just not picky about my controls. Sorry, there's lights coming in. The curtains are... Yeah, the... I didn't really have a problem with them. There were some things that I really preferred a standard D-pad for, but I think I just got used to them. And to be honest, I didn't use the Joy-Con like masses, certainly in the later years of the Switch's life. I can imagine if you're playing fighting games, it being an absolute nuisance. But, yeah. Honestly, hard to tell. I imagine it probably will be an upgrade because the buttons all over are just an upgrade. They're more comfortable to use. Dingus has asked, did you get the backpack? Yeah, the people in New York, they walked away with a free backpack. I can only imagine that the purse strings are a little tighter in the UK. Ugh. Because I walked away with a tote bag. Admittedly, it's probably the most hardcore tote bag I've ever had. It's really thick and quite heavy just by itself. It comes with a book. And this book details nothing. It's a notebook, obviously. With graph paper, or like squares inside. Other bits and pieces in there as well. Lanyard, mug, water bottle. The water bottle feels like it's going to float away. It's the lightest water bottle I've ever seen. Pretty cheap looking, but you know, it's just freebies. It's nice. Not gloating, just someone asked. Oh, blimey. Hey Alex, been watching you guys for a while and want to say thank you for doing this Q&A. What was the best part of your time with Metroid 4? Updated graphics, new, better controls, etc. Thank you for the super chat. I would say... what was the best part? God, that's a big question. I mean, it looks fantastic. The 120 frames a second is gloriously smooth. And just to make sure that I wasn't a trick of the eye or anything like that, I did record it at 120 frames a second. Some footage, and I can confirm that it is 120 frames a second. No smoke and mirrors, 120 through and through. It looks great. The boss fight was actually really good fun. Wasn't especially hard, don't get me wrong. But, like, the implications are really interesting. So basically, the space pirates have got these Metroids. They look like Mocktroids. Maybe they are. They refer to them as Metroids in the intro. Like the text that comes up and says, Samus is a bounty hunter. The year is 2005, or whatever it is. And there's talk of like Metroids that confuse with other organisms, which is a little bit X-Parasite, not gonna lie, but X-Parasite more just sort of made copies and stuff. And that's what happens with that boss. I can't remember what it's called now. But that boss has basically like these growths on it, and they are basically Metroid-esque. I don't know if they're actually Metroids, because only one goes into it, burrows its way in, and then starts controlling it, presumably. A little bit, I suppose, a bit like a fungus. And it appears, due to a cutscene that we see later, with Sylux, because he's got these Metroids around him. They look like Mocktroids. I'm going to make it clear they look like Mocktroids. And they're not running after, so I'm guessing they're Metroids they have control over? Frightening stuff, especially considering the idea that what if one gets into Samus? Oh, what's going to happen? Samus going to have her armor ripped off so that she starts, sort of without all the power-ups that she had before. I know it's a trope, but they have to do it in Metroid. They just have to. I know it's silly, but it has to be done. If you went in with all the stuff you had before, it'd be boring, wouldn't it? But thank you for the super chat. I wish we get a DK plushie based on his new look. It'll happen at some point. It absolutely will. But for the time being, we'll have to make do with this boy. I won this guy at a theme park for my wife, and now he's mine because sort of for both of us really, but mostly me. Also, I just like winning things for other people, even if I end up carrying it away. I feel like I do better. It's complete nonsense, of course, but it was one of these ones where you've got, I'm going to go on a tangent. It's one of these ones where you got like all these platforms moving around, and you got a, they've got like glass balls, and you got a ping pong ball. You got to throw it on a target and bounce it and then have it land in a bowl. And the smaller the bowl, the harder the bowl to reach, the better the prize you get. And obviously ping pong balls, bouncy little sods, to say the least. And so the idea is that it bounces once, and that limits how much control you have over it. You have to throw a certain strength, and then it'll bounce up. It limits how easy it is to win, and then it lands in the glass bowl and bounces out again. I threw one, pretty sure it missed. Threw a second, it landed in the top prize. And it was great. And I flagged down the guy who was on the stand, and he just said, I said, I've won. And he sort of went, what? He sort of looked around and he went, and I said, is that one down there? And he went, oh yeah, sure. As it just, I think because people will obviously keep going for ages, and I did it on my second try. Pure luck, pure chance, no skill involved in that whatsoever. But there's just surprise on his face. He was just like, oh, yeah, okay, what do you want? I was like, Donkey Kong, please. It was great. I've never been able to repeat that, ever. When I was in Japan, I tried and did claw machines, UFO catchers. Did not win a single thing. Then found out later on that it's more about... It's more of a game with the staff saying, help me, please. And it's not like normal. Anyway, do you think there'll be an easy way to move over screenshots from Switch 1? Says Nicholas. That's a good point. If you're doing a system transfer, I would hope that those would carry over. But at the same time, I don't know. I imagine if you needed to, you could probably transfer them over manually just by moving them on, you know, sort of from one SD card to another. I'm fairly certain you can do that in a way because they're not encrypted. But I don't know. Maybe there is going to be some encryption on the upcoming one. I don't know. I'd like to think so, but I don't know so. There's a Diddy Kong Fleece coming out in June. Do you think that means he'll be in the game? Flippin' hope so. That's a thing. All the NPCs in DK Bonanza, they're like, they're sort of like, I think they're presenting, I don't know how they're presenting them, what they're calling them. I'm fairly certain at one point I saw something about chimp. They ain't chimps. You know, Diddy Kong is not a chimp. He can't be. He's got a tail. Chimps don't have tails. Have you ever seen a chimp? I can understand at a glance you sort of think chimp. You go sort of, yeah, small. Yeah. Chimps aren't small. I mean, they're smaller than us, but, you know, we're standing upright. Chimps are frightening. Bulky things. Terrifying. Also, you know, social and lovely, but also like humans. You can say, oh, what are humans like? Are they sociable? Are they aggressive? And it's like, well, it depends which flipping human. It's the same with chimps. I'm not going to go into a chimp tangent, but there's all these NPCs, and they've all got these tails. They look a bit like Diddy Kong. And it's like, what are they? They're not apes. Are they going to call them apes? If so, that's inaccurate. They're going to call them monkeys? Because they're probably monkeys. They look a bit like spider monkeys. Guys, we need these questions answered. I can't wait for Donkey Kong. It looks so good. It's really good fun. I do think that the having a game like Donkey Kong present in that way, like a demo where you can just do a bit, like jump in and do a bit, it's not the best way to do it by any stretch of the imagination. It might in fact be one of the worst ways to do it. And I'm not saying Nintendo, how dare you, because what else could they do? They're not going to let you sit there and play it for hours on end. But you do go into it and you sort of like, okay, I want to just take my time and explore. But you know you've only got 20 minutes. So you start rushing things. You start exploring as quickly as you can. And That's not the way to enjoy a game like that. You want to slowly take your time and just meander through. What's over here? What's over that hill? What happens if I dig down? And just do it at your own pace, and you can't do that in a situation like that. So I do think that when it's actually out, I've seen some people have mixed opinions, Xeon being one of them. I think when it's out and you're able to take your time, it's going to be a lot better. It's going to be a lot better received. How much is the Switch 2, Alex? Depends. Depends where you live. In the UK, I bought the bundle, and it cost me £430, I want to say, with Mario Kart. I say bought, I pre-ordered, obviously. I don't have it yet. I really wish I had it. The standard bundle's like 390 something. This is pounds. In the US, supposedly 450. But we don't know, because tariffs, and I'm not going to get into that again, but tariffs, they could change things, to say the least. Has anyone mentioned if the LCD is an IPS LCD? Blimey, I don't know. I don't know. I'll say the viewing angles are great. So it's likely to be an IPS, but we don't know. We don't know for certain, or at least I don't. Maybe somebody who's more knowledgeable, walked up and looked at it and went, "Yep, that's an IPS, buddy boy." That would have been better if I'd actually made the pop sound. It's not a TFT, I'll tell you that for free. It's also not an OLED. Do you think Diddy or Rambi will be in Bonanza? Living legend, thank you very much. You've done a lot of super chats today. I imagine Diddy will be in it. We've seen Espresso as well. I have to really think when naming Espresso, because I always want to say espresso, because that's the real thing. People who call an espresso an expresso, they're wrong. I think it's a distinct possibility. I think it's likely, even. It'd be really cool. I mean, we've seen Cranky as well, whose design hasn't changed, which I thought was odd. But I don't know. To be honest, Donkey Kong's design hasn't changed as dramatically as I initially thought. How much... I've just answered how much it costs. Any details on what the 007 game will be? No. No, no, no. IO Interactive are being very tight-lipped about that, to say the least. It's just called Project 007. We know it's coming to Switch too. It was announced ages ago, wasn't it? When was it announced? It was announced a really long time ago. Yeah, working title. When was it announced? Here we go. Announcing Project 007. You got a date for me, boy? What? Policy and cookies? What? Why is this website... 2020? Admittedly, the end of 2020. November 2020. Blimey. That was a long time ago. This webpage was reloaded because it was using significant memory. Reload properly. Don't tell me I'm having internet problems. You guys, is everything okay? Yeah, I can see stuff happening down here. Oh, for goodness sake. I understand it's using significant energy. I am losing the ability to speak. Let's bring that up again on a fresh tab. See if that works. Doesn't like it. Doesn't like it. It used a lot of RAM. The stream's bitrate is too high. It's higher than recommended. That just means I've got a crisper stream. What do you think? Oh, hi Alex. Do you know if Yakuza 0 will be on a game keycard or will the entire game be on a cartridge? Says Emma Dude. Good question. I don't know, but I will do some research now to see if I can find out. Yakuza 0 Switch 2. Let's see if there are any listings online. There's a listing on PlayAsia. Yeah, it looks like a placeholder. I wouldn't trust it. Key card. Does not appear. I'm not sure I trust this website. Okay, maybe I trust it a bit more because it admits it doesn't know. We don't know at the moment, unfortunately. Keep an eye on NintendoLife.com. We'll have all the updates as soon as they happen. How does the dock fan actually cool the Switch through the Switch's unibody? The Switch has no fan holes, just cooling the plastic chassis. Here's the thing. If you've got an OLED nearby or an original Switch, look down here. There are intake vents. This is the exhaust vent. These are intake vents down here. I can't show you easily. Let me see if I can get closer. Do I have my light up here? I don't. So this probably isn't going to work. Oh, you can't see a flipping thing. Yeah, basically, if you look at the bottom, like the back edge, I suppose, there are intake vents on all Switch consoles. And that is the case with the Switch 2 as well. There are intake vents, or what I believe to be intake vents. We saw that so I imagine it's just been designed to funnel. It'll blow air through there, you know, it'll have some channeling going through so that it'll blow through there. All good. It also probably cools down the plastic chassis as well. Yeah. Yeah, because Zero is like a 26GB game, so hopefully not a game keycard. Hopefully not, yeah. I've seen some reports from people saying that Nintendo's only offering like an 8GB card and a 64GB card. And it's possible that's true. I'd be very surprised if it was, and considering we haven't got it from Nintendo directly, I don't trust it to be true. Or indeed a developer. I find that very unlikely, because there's bound to be loads of games that come between those two things. And Nintendo doesn't want to do the game keycard thing, I'm sure, as little as it wants to do it as little as it can. We don't know. Is DK Bonanza 2 brain dead mashy? Hope that has some skillful collectibles or platforming. Yeah, there is some skill involved. I didn't get to play this personally, but I got to play DK. I got to play DK. I just didn't play this bit. I saw a friend of mine, Will, Rabid Luigi, if you know him. He was at the event, and I saw him playing, and he went to like a sub area, very much like Odyssey. Like, if this isn't made by the Odyssey team, I don't know. I'd be very surprised. But the sub area has like you had to like swing from this sort of vertical thing. You had to get through these gaps and things like that. And whilst I don't think it looked super challenging or anything like that, it was just a demo. You know, I wouldn't put too much stock in it. But it was definitely sort of like different. It's not just brain dead or anything like that. Looks like there's going to be loads of fun, different challenges going on. There was also like an arena fight against some enemies. Didn't look especially difficult, but you know, I'm sure it'll get harder later on. Admittedly, I was there. I spoke to Andy Robinson from VGC, and he didn't rate the game. Admittedly, he didn't care for it, but I don't know. I mean, he had some valid complaints, but I'm not sure I would go down them quite so fiercely myself, shall we say. Oh, blimey. Another question for you, Alex. What games are you picking up at launch, and are you planning to buy digital or physical? They didn't necessarily write it in that way. I just said it in that way. I have got Mario Kart World, obviously, on the way. If I were a consumer, because I know, obviously, bear in mind, I'm going to be getting a lot of games through work. So I'm not, like, the best person to ask this sort of thing. But if I were just, you know, sort of standard consumer and I was buying it all for myself because I had a normal job, I would go for Mario Kart World. I'd go for the bundle 100%. That is the best deal you're going to get for some time, I think. I would definitely be getting Fast Fusion. In fact, I will be getting it if I don't get it through work. Would I get Cyberpunk? Do we know how much it's going to be yet? I'm not sure whether we do. Maybe we do. But I would definitely consider Cyberpunk. I have to look at the launch lineup again, because it's been a while since I've looked at it. I compiled it myself. 24 games, 24. 2 Point Museum coming in 2025. I really enjoyed 2 Point Museum. And I really, really hope we get Monster Hunter. That's just reminding me of Monster Hunter. Wild Heart S, even. So let's have a look at the launch lineup. I can never remember all of it. Because it's 24 games. I'm definitely, obviously, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. I already own them. I get the upgrades for free through NSO, so obviously that's going to be included. Yeah, Fast Fusion, GameCube, obviously, that just comes for free. Hitman, I'm excited about. I really want to play Hitman. Civ 7, it depends how much the upgrade is. I really, really liked Civ 7 on Switch. I'm a little bit bitter that they're launching this Switch 2 version so soon after the Switch 1 version, and it's a paid upgrade. I think that's a bit mean. It would have been nice considering, you know, sort of the adoption, you know, sort of, we've only just had this, and now suddenly you're asking for a paid upgrade to get it on the latest. I don't know. It just doesn't feel great to me personally, but I would consider it. The upgrade is 10. Is that for Civ 7? Sorry, we're not on low latency mode, so it's probably going to be a good 4 minutes before you can reply. That's not on you. Oh, are the Joy-Con buttons mushy, Switch Lite, or clicky? Switch Standard, I'd say between the two. Wow. Yeah, I went over this earlier on. They're definitely not as clicky as Switch 1. Yeah, they're not as clicky as that. And I like them. I like them a lot. I think they're a really nice balance. Nintendo have confirmed the Ring Fit can be played as long as we have Switch 1 Joy-Con, but I don't know about the Pro Controller. Alex, do you know if the S1 PC... Switch 1 Pro Controller... S1 PC? I was like, oh god, what is that? Another handheld PC or something? No. Will work on Switch 2. Yeah, it's confirmed. Switch 1 Pro Controllers will work on Switch 2. You'll be missing out on a few things, like... headphone jack, C button, not a big deal. I definitely would hold off getting a Switch 2 Pro controller unless you're really going to make use of the headphone jack. At least for the time being. How long does it feel painful after using Joy-Cons as a mouse? It didn't feel painful for me. But I didn't get to use them for any long period of time. I imagine if you're going to be, you know, sort of playing for 2 or 3 hours or something like that, it's definitely going to start to strain, but I can't say one way or the other. I can't say conclusively because I didn't get a long time with it, which is really annoying. Any idea if the Hoyoverse games will have a release on Switch 2? No idea whatsoever. And the only reason I know about the Hoyoverse games is because we get emails about them a lot. I mean, I played Genshin Impact briefly. It was for a video. Back when they said that it was coming to Switch. Remember that? Remember when they said Genshin Impact was coming to Switch? Wow. That feels like... I mean, it was a long time ago. What third-party games are you getting day one? Final Fantasy VII, Hitman? Final Fantasy VII is not a launch game. At least it's not at the moment. That may change. We don't know. But I would be surprised if it were to change. I'm definitely getting Hitman. I would really like... I'm getting Cyberpunk as well. I'd really like to get Split Fiction, because I haven't played it yet. I know it's not ideal on Switch 2, from what I've heard. Didn't get a chance to play it yet, unfortunately. Will GameCube be a separate subscription? No, it will not. It will not. It is going to be just bundled in as part... It's part of the expansion pass, I believe, or the expansion pack. Did Mario Kart World run at 60 frames a second with 4 players? Would really appreciate an answer. I haven't seen any split screen at all. So unfortunately, I can't answer. Oh no! I did play split screen 2-player. I did play split screen 2-player with my colleague Jim, because I remember thinking, wow, you know, sort of first time playing the game, and I've got half the screen that I would want. And it ran perfectly fine. Didn't notice any dropped frames whatsoever. It was great. It was really, really good. But unfortunately, more split screen than that, I don't know. I just don't know, unfortunately. What's your favorite dessert? I love... I had a lovely cake made by my mother-in-law yesterday, which was like a frangipan and apple cake. That was delightful. Oh no, sticky toffee pudding. Sticky toffee pudding from Rick Stein's restaurant. That will live in infamy in my head. We also had sticky toffee pudding at our wedding, and oh god, it was good. But it wasn't as good as Rick Stein's, and part of that's going to be the memory. Will the game chat function be part of the regular online sub or the expansion? From what they've said, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty confident if I had to say one or the other, I'd say standard. I don't think you need the expansion pack for it. I think they would be fools to do that as well. Have you ever had a corn dog? No. No, I haven't. I've never been to the States. I know of, or you don't have to go to the States to have a corn dog. And you don't have to pronounce it corn dog. You can call it a corn dog. It's just funny to say things funny. How would you go about promoting Switch 2 to Alan Partridge? It's I've always considered it to be in the games console. It's the Japanese Mercedes. Only line I could think of. I recently watched that episode of I'm Alan Partridge, so that's why it's in my head. Suffice it to say that no, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. But if you went to America, where in America would you go? I'd really like to see... well, I mean, obviously you've got to go to New York and stuff, haven't you? But I'd really like to visit more of things like the Rockies and like Minnesota. Those places appeal to me. The sort of the... Yeah, I've not really thought about it much because it's never really come up and it's so big. If I went to the States, and it was for joy, pleasure rather than work, it would be... I would be picking what state do I want to go to, rather than what states and what areas and stuff like that, because it's so big. Yeah, I think... yeah, I think Minnesota would be up there. Do you know if the Switch 2 will have a messaging feature to send messages directly to friends without an app? We don't know yet. I think it would be good. Certainly if it's just between friends, I can see that being feasible. To strangers, I don't know. Do you speak American? Yeehaw, cowboy. Do you think GTA 6 will be playable on Switch 2? They haven't announced anything yet. I think anything's possible at this point. Whether it be... I certainly don't think it would be date and date, to say the least. But I imagine if they think... Excuse me. If they think it's feasible, Rockstar that is, I believe they will be considering it. Does the Switch 2 have a touchscreen? It's got to, hasn't it? I don't know it does, but it's got to. It's got to, hasn't it? Have they not confirmed that? Maybe they have and I just missed it because it's not that important. Why is the Hori camera so low quality? Because piranha plants take up a lot of bandwidth. No. I think it's just because it's being sold essentially as a budget model. I love the piranha plant aesthetic, but my god, I do not love that price. That resolution for the price. 480p is not going to cut it. Not unless it's just one person individually. I can imagine it's... I'm surprised they haven't marketed it this way, because this is what I would do. I would market it more as a... primarily a handheld camera. Because they say, like, hey, you can take it out and plug it directly into the Switch 2. Straight into the top, and it's like, advertise it as a handheld one then, because 480p would be fine in that instance. Not great, don't get me wrong, I think it'd be way better if it was high resolution. But like when it's away from you in a living room, it's gonna look awful. Awful. The Switch 2 uses a 7.9-inch, 20cm LCD touchscreen with 1080p resolution and HDR, which supports a variable refresh rate of up to 120Hz. Thank you, Armando Arturo Aranda III. I suppose I could have looked at it here, because that's accessories. That's not going to help me. I imagine it'll say here, but yeah. Video output, screen. Yeah, capacitive touchscreen. There you go, confirmed. Whee! Oh my word, sorry, Steve, I completely missed your message. Will the Switch 2 replace your Steam Deck? No! Because the Steam Deck, to me, is a very different device. Similar form factor, similar idea, but the fact that it's Steam, completely different execution. Completely different beast, in my eyes. I can see some people, like, comparing between the two, and sort of tossing it up and thinking, oh, which one? But for me, they'll always be quite separate because the Switch 2 is very much a plug and play system. The Steam Deck is sort of, I don't want to say pretending, it's giving the illusion of being a plug and play system, and it is to a degree. No, it's not. It's not. It's a Linux-based gaming system. It's not plug and play. You can do, it's really powerful, but that comes, you require technical knowledge in order to most utilize that. It's good for tinkering. It's good for playing certain things. You know, they're very different devices in my eyes. So it's not going to replace it. They're going to live side by side in harmony. Pre-Toshi, or Toshi, what do you think of Sakurai's tease of Doshin the Giant 3, March of the Minis? We'll need a proper Doshin the Giant 2 before that happens. I know we've got Chibico Defense Force, whatever it is. I can never remember the full name. That's not Doshin the Giant 2, though, is it? That's Doshin the Giant adjacent tomfoolery. Very funny, though. Would love a new Doshin game. I'd love it to come to GameCube NSO as well. That'd be fine. How am I doing on battery for this? Let me just check. I don't want to run out of battery on this thing. Oh! Half! It's fine. Is it endoskeleton over living tissue? Why did I read that out? I mean, I'm an endoskeleton with living tissue. I'm not an endoskeleton. I have an endoskeleton. Does the Switch 2 support all cameras with the USB-C ports? It does. They do say that it will support USB-C cameras broadly. I'm really keen to push that and see what it supports and what it doesn't. I want to plug a capture card in. I want to see whether I can get this camera, because this camera is plugged in via... Whoa! I can't pick it up. The Switch 2 bag was in the way. Yeah, it's just a little... just about do it. The cable's not super long. Shadowcast 2. Into that. Whoa! So in theory, I could plug this camera in and have, like, ludicrous quality. Still only be 1080p. Do we have any idea, any info on how long the battery lasts on Switch 1 games? We do. It's like the battery life is listed. Let's have a look here. Microphone buttons. Internal battery. Approximately 2 to 6.5 hours. And that's going to depend on the game. Some games will use more power than others. I imagine Mario Kart World will probably do pretty well. I imagine... I can't easily guess, but I would... If I had to guess, I would say... I reckon you get 3 hours out of it. I imagine it's pretty lightweight for a system like this. As in, reasonably lightweight. Is CD Projekt Red the actual developer of Cyberpunk 2077 Switch 2? Or is it a port house doing the work? I don't know for certain, but I did speak to a rep when I was there. And from the way that we spoke, the way that we chatted, the way that he spoke, if I had to say one way or the other, and this is not confirmed, I think it's in-house. I think it is CD Projekt Red doing it, but I don't know that. Although, I did record some footage that showed the intro with like where it shows all the things that they use, and it did not say Good Old Games. So I could have a look there. It might show if there was a port house, porter. Let me just scrub through. I'm afraid I can't show you this. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to. Simply because this is a live stream. The rules are a bit funny about showing footage right now, and I don't want to get in hot water. CD Projekt Red, Red Engine. Here we go. It says NVIDIA, AMD, Ryzen, I think it's Doodle? The octopus thing. SpeedTree, WY's Bink Video. Jally. What's that? It's probably nothing. Facial animation. So yeah. From the demo, it doesn't look like there are any names on there except CD Projekt Red. I nearly just said it, except Cyberpunk. DK's new look got me thinking. Cam Natalie Miles, this is. Thank you for the super chat. What if, much like Cranky was the old DK, Diddy is now the new DK? Cranky stays the same. DK is now Boomer Kong. Funny, but Diddy has a tail. He's not an ape. Sorry. Yeah, no. It's a fun idea, but I don't think this is Diddy. And I've seen a lot of people saying that Nintendo wants to get rid of Diddy and all the Donkey Kong Country, the rare side of DK, and it's absolutely not the case. The redesign is like the box art for DK Bonanza. Honestly, at a glance, you'd think it was just the old design. It's very, very similar. The angry eyes, it's almost like they've just sort of loosened things up a bit. It's growing on me a lot, more than I thought it would. With the Oblivion remaster constantly leaking on Twitter, which might... Hello? Sorry, I'll finish that in a moment. Hello? We've got a little visitor. Hello, Cobweb. This is Cobweb. In you go. She likes to be in here. She often likes to be in here when I'm recording. Also, it's probably a little bit cold downstairs now. She's been in the conservatory. I should probably close the door. It's not to the outside, I hasten to point out. It's just between the house and the conservatory. You're making fluff go everywhere. What are you going to do? You leaving? You're going to rub up against things. You're very cute. Do you think it'll be coming to the Switch anytime soon? Oblivion remaster. I think it would be foolish not to. I think it's highly likely. It was actually on my bingo card for the Switch 2 Direct. So I think there's a distinct possibility. What are you doing? There's a lot of cables around. I don't want you chewing anything. I don't want you chewing anything. Oh! Say hello. Say hello to the lovely people. You're not the biggest fan of being held like this, are you? But I can't hold you properly, or you'll just be on my microphone. Won't you? Won't you? You silly banana. Will you be buying a Switch 2 for Cobweb? She's not the biggest gamer. She just likes to run around and go... I've forgotten what I was saying. Oh yeah, Oblivion. I will answer it eventually. I do apologise, but... Cat. Yeah, I think it's distinctly likely. I've seen some people say that it's going to shadow drop on other systems, I hasten to point out. I'm not sure about that. I think it'll... Altogether. I think it'll be announced and then it'll come out at a later date. It may be soon, but I don't think it's going to be a shadow drop. Could be wrong about that, of course. Please show him again. It's a her! It's a she! Eehee! The lovely people have requested. I can't hold you properly. You're just going to touch my microphone. And oh, okay. All right, tell you what. No. There you go. Oh. Apologies for the sound. It's probably muffled. Muffled. She's not the biggest fan of being held full stop, to be honest. Aren't you a cutie? You say hello? Say hello? Okay, that really is it. Don't worry. I'll let you crack on. Oh, don't worry. It's just a cable. Don't worry. Do you want to go up? There we go. No, please don't go on the windowsill. Just stay there. She wants to go on the windowsill. The curtains are drawn, so I can get the lighting proper. I think it's likely that the Oblivion remake will come to Switch 2. Yeah. Professor Toad asks, how does the console taste? Don't pretend you don't know. I don't know. If I had tasted it, it probably would have tasted of either disinfectant, because they were wiping down the consoles, which was really good, or other people's sweat. I haven't tasted a fresh one yet. I hope Retro is working on a new 2.5D DK game. Possible. It's... I don't know. They seem to want to move on from it, and I can't say I blame them. Not because what they've done is bad. Far from it. It's been incredible. But Retro don't like to hang around and do the same thing time and time again. I mean, look at... Metroid Prime 4 was originally being done by Bandai, and they were like, ay, it's not working. We don't know why it changed, but Retro were like, fine, we'll come in and fix it. Is Mario Kart World's logo ugly? Bevel and embossy. I think it looks alright. Remind myself. Mario Kart World logo. I think it looks fine. It's a bit heavy on the black outline, I suppose, but yeah, no, I wouldn't say it's ugly. I'd say it's quite clean. It's certainly not minimalist, but you know what? Minimalism's on the way out, guys. You heard it here first. I am the style guru. Can it make me Minecraft in Minecraft using redstone? Someone's probably going to do that, aren't they? Someone's probably done that already. What am I thinking? It's my birthday tomorrow. What Switch game should I get? Oh, Danzy. Happy birthday for tomorrow. What Switch games should you get? You know what? It's not a big game, and I don't want to keep tooting the same thing over and over again, but I would highly recommend you get one of the Tori games. Tori 3D or Tori 2. Tori 2 is particularly good. 99 cents or 89p, depending on your region. Very cheap, and it's a lovely game to just sit down, play through, and go, that was nice, and you can move on with your life. It's a lovely way to spend a couple of hours. You don't even necessarily need to spend a couple of hours with it. You can complete the whole game in 15 minutes. But then there's all the bonus stuff you've got to search for and stuff like that. It's really good. Not to constantly advertise Marcus Horn's thing, but it's so easy to recommend because it's just like, it's a quid. Just get it, you know? It's great. Ever thrown a cobweb among the pigeons? No. No, she likes to watch pigeons from the window, though. Tories. Tory. T-O-R-E-E. Not T-O-R-I-E-S. Or Y instead of the I-E-S. What game do you think will be their first special edition console colour? I don't know if they're going to go for a different colour console. I think they're going to do what they did with Switch 1, which is like patterns and stuff like that. I really love this Switch. What's going to be the first one? I don't think they do one for DK. It's too soon. Don't think they do one for Drag X Drive because it doesn't have enough of an identity. I did enjoy Drag X Drive a lot. I just think it's going to be very dull if you're playing it by yourself. Yeah, I don't know. It depends on what they come out with. What games they release. Metroid one would be good. That'd be really good. But it may be a bit early. What GC NSO games would you like to see Nintendo add? GC GameCube. Just for anyone who's unclear. Also, Sonic Adventure. Sort of. I don't think Sonic Adventure 2 is too bad a game. I think it's just the Sonic and Shadow sections are easily the best. What else? I mean, I'd really like to see Twilight Princess. Just because it's the GameCube version. It's a weird anomaly, but I'm not sure that'll necessarily happen. Rogue Leader would be good. I don't know whether they'd ever get the rights properly to that. Obviously, the original Pikmin, although they've already got the the re-release, so I don't know about that. Essentially, I'm going to have to check my games. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got in the magic bag. Hey, here's a fun thing. I got this from Japan, and it's now dusty. I do intend to get a frame for it, but frames are expensive. It's the whole Smash art with all the characters on it. It's great. It's just a freebie they were giving out. You just pick one up. I very carefully brought this all the way back from Japan, and it didn't crinkle in the slightest. I'm a happy boy. Shadow the Hedgehog, good lord. The Prime games would be good, obviously, but I would really prefer them to do remasters, if possible. Whoa. Time Splitters games would be good. Monkey Ball, not likely to happen. Certainly not the Time Splitters games. Melee would be good. Unlikely, but that would be good. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, never going to happen. And that remake was not good. Missed the point of the game entirely. Monkey Ball again. Star Fox Adventures. I don't have masses of first-party Nintendo games on GameCube, I've just realised. Beyond ones that have already been re-released, of course, things like Pikmin and the like. Star Fox Adventures. Did I say that? I saw it. I'm not sure whether I said it. That'd be fun. How's the Joy-Con wiggle? Thanks, says Dave Priz. Rock solid. It's really rock solid. Like, I'm sure if you were to sit there and go and really try and sort of like flex it and move it about a bit, you could probably feel some movement. But if you're just playing, it feels rock solid. It's great. And like, it takes a lot of force to remove the Joy-Con from the side. It's really solid. Imagine if we got a new Star Fox and F-Zero. That'd be good. That'd be good. I'd like a new Star Fox. Star Fox got dealt a bit of a duff hand with Zero. I still liked Zero, but I can understand why it was not successful. Yeah, the controls definitely weren't a barrier for me. It's just it released on Wii U, and it was a remake of the first flipping game in 64, and yeah, I know they did some different stuff, but not enough. It was such a small game. What if F-Zero GX felt frame droppy because there's an even faster one coming? Now that would be something. Imagine if F-Zero GX would suddenly feel slow and choppy. Whoa! How much money do I have to give to Nintendo for my hairline to age backwards like yours? I'm so proud. I say proud like I've done anything. I'm pleased, relieved that I've got the hairline that I do. You would have to pay Nintendo an awful lot of money. I don't know what the solution is. I do apologise. If I start losing my hair, I don't know. I say I don't know what I'm going to do, like I'm going to lose my livelihood or something like that. That's not the case. I'll probably just shave it all off, or either that or grow it out. I don't know. I'll do something. Maybe I'll go for a Bill Bailey. Who knows? I'd much rather just go grey. More than happy to go grey. If that happens, I might slick my hair back and look like Geralt. That'd be fun. And by look like Geralt, I'll mean I'll model my hair after Geralt. I'm never going to look like Henry Cavill. It's never going to happen. Do you remember when they put down the price of the 3DS? Will that happen with the Switch 2, do you think? I've seen a few people say this. I don't think so. Pre-orders have been selling out really fiercely. I don't think Nintendo are going to have difficulty shifting this, even for the price point. Yeah. I don't think it's going to happen. I'd like it to. Don't get me wrong, because save some people some money. That'd be brilliant. But also considering Sony just put up the price of the PS5, I really don't like that. I really don't like that they've done that. I understand why they did it, but lordy loo, What was the one I just saw? Steam Deck Switch 2 better graphic. The Switch 2 is more powerful than the Steam Deck. I can say that with fairly solid confidence. I can't say 100%. Also, power, it's like the Steam Deck may have a slightly more powerful CPU or something like that, but Switch 2's got a higher, better GPU, or something like that. But broadly speaking, from what we've seen, I've done comparisons, mainly with Cyberpunk. Switch 2 comes out on top, baby, by some margin. Have you tried pulling the Joy-Con out without the button to see if the Joy-Con can come off? Do you think we can hold the Switch on one Joy-Con? The answer to both of those is yes. I tried pulling. I did. It was there was one retail unit. Well, there were two stands with retail units where you could just like feel it to really feel it, because most of the units were demo units. They weren't finalized. And I did try. I mean, I couldn't do it too obviously because there was the rep there making sure that I didn't run off with the console, and I couldn't just, like I said, hold on to that and try and yank it out or anything like that. But I did sort of just go like, really like pull it, and I got a bit of movement, and I put quite a lot of pressure on. I didn't go like that. I think you can do it. It's only magnets holding it in, but they're doing a bloody good job, to be honest. You can yank it off. You can detach them manually. I'm certain of it, but it will require a lot of force. And I think that realistically, yeah, hold it via one Joy-Con, you'll be fine. I wouldn't recommend it, but I think I think it wouldn't fall off. Let's put it that way. I think I put more force in trying to pull it off in grams than the rest of the system and the other Joy-Con would weigh with gravity. Does the kickstand feel as sturdy as the OLED stand? And is it metal like on the OLED? It is metal. I am pretty damn confident about that. I did the, you touch it, feel how it, sort of conducts the heat away from your hand. Yes, it's an extender. Sorry. And as for its sturdiness, I would say, I've not actually really felt the sturdiness of the OLED one. Maybe slightly less sturdy, ever so slightly, but perfectly sturdy enough. I think it's more than good enough. Certainly a big step up over the original Switch. Wowzers, do you remember that? Anywho, I think we're going to have to call it there because it's nearly 5 o'clock my time. So I'll have been doing this for 3 hours, which is quite a long time. But thank you everyone so much for coming along. This has been really good fun. And I really hope... I've had a super chat come through. Very quickly answer it. This is from Jacob or Jakob. Do you think the black colour is the standard colour for Joy-Con 2s going forward in the future releases? Joy-Cons only change the colour below the thumbsticks and the magnetic part? I don't know. I would like to think that they'll do something more fun later down the line. I get the sense they wanted to give it the sort of colourful identity of the Switch 1, but at the same time make it look like a more serious device. They didn't want to make it look kiddie. So I really hope they do something more colourful in the future. But anyway, thank you everyone so much for coming along. It has been a delight to have you here. And I hope to see you again in the future. I think the audio is about to loop. But yes, thank you everyone so much for coming along. I hope I've answered some of your questions. And I hope to see you on Nintendo Life in the future. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye.